All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Monoxide Podcast. I'm your host, Harris, aka Man of Many Automotive Aspirations. And this is the Monoxide Podcast. We are missing the old co-host, Sean, because he is moving on to exciting developments, whatever. He's starting a business, which we talked about in the last episode. But nonetheless, this is the show where we kind of go beyond the meat. We go to car shows, we meet people, and it's only like 5 minutes before you get taken away by somebody else, you know? Correct. So today we have Sam from Mohs Performance. So how do you say your last name?
Soywaymill.
Yeah, I'm not trying that. Dude, I have a weird last name too. Jag and Jack, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, people are like, yeah, I'm not trying that at all. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to get you on because I've been to your shop a handful of times. We already had the other two guys, you know, we had Bryce, we had Dave when he was there once upon a time. Sure. So I was like, all right, let's just run the whole group, get you on. So let's just kick it off this way. Like, how'd you get into cars and how'd you get into tuning and building cars, I guess?
I mean, basically grew up in a family, you know, since a very young age. My brothers, my uncles, you know, they were all just about cars and racing overall in general. So there was really no way around it. You know, I had to be in the industry basically. Mm-hmm. So that's how it kind of started. You know, just at a younger age, you know, hanging out with my older brothers, you know, taking me to the racetracks and stuff. You know. Mm-hmm. It just kind of grew on me over the years, and like I said, there's really no way around it when you grow up in a family, you know, mm-hmm. that is, you know, passionate about racing and cars in general, you know. But that's kind of how it started with me, really. Yeah.
What kind of cars were you kind of like around as a kid?
Mostly muscle cars, honestly.
Okay.
You know, V8 engines, obviously, you know, muscle cars. Mm-hmm. Lots of imports where I grew up as well. Mm-hmm. That's kind of why I am kind of on both sides, you know. Yeah, I love imports and I love domestic cars.
I've noticed that with you because you'll be working on like, you know, a 2,000 horsepower GTR or whatever it is, 1,600, and then like a you know, like the other day I was at your shop and you're working on a Copo Camaro, which is you could do a little bit of everything.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just so everyone knows, I'm not a full-time tech.
Okay.
So I'm not really, you know, the full-time tech over there that does all the builds and stuff. But I do help the guys where they need it. I do help a lot with a lot of stuff here and there. Okay. You know, I run a lot of stuff at the shop, so it's kind of hard focusing on being a full-time tech. Mm-hmm. I was never a full-time tech to begin with, so sure, I do my own thing. You know, I know you know, a thing or two here and there. You know, and I'm learning along the way. Honestly, you know, just learning along the way. That's kind of how it works with everything, really, in this industry. You know.
Always something new to learn.
Always something new, you know, the new platforms coming up, you know, hanging out around people, knowledgeable people, you know, you just learn from them, you know.
So then again, what's your day-to-day kind of?
So day-to-day, I do run the dyno full-time, actually. So
okay.
Whatever is on the schedule for the dyno, I take care of that.
Okay.
Whether it's a rental dyno, whether it's remote tuning for an in-house car, you know. Excuse me.
No, you're good.
And then I do the fuel injector service that we offer as well, flow testing and cleaning on the bench machine, basically. I run all that stuff, inbound phone calls, emails, building estimates for customer, communication with customers, walking customers, basically a lot of stuff. You know, there's really not some.
You just kind of fill in where you need to, but
I'm filling what I need to. Exactly. Yeah. We do need help.
Always. Yeah. Every shop needs it right now.
Every shop, you know, thing. You know, we do need help, especially we have an expansion coming up soon.
Yep.
So that's gonna grow a lot of more shop space, and obviously we need more hands. So.
It's tough to find in this market, dude.
It's tough. And then once you find, it's also tough to, you know, just to keep track on, you know, everything and just maintain the whole workflow, basically. No, obviously, you know, any growing shop will need a lot of more help, you know, as they grow, obviously. So we're not growing like huge still. So
right.
It's just
doubling kind of like the
size of what we have now.
More storage space.
More storage space for shop equipment, you know, stuff. The whole layout's going to be changed. So we're still working on the layout stuff.
So you guys got to like tear down that wall?
So the plan is to tear the whole wall down, yes, and then and we kind of have two post lifts in an angle, 4 or 5 of them, whatever we can fit, and kind of focus on the bills on the other side of the shop, not the side that the dyno cell is right now, just to not separate but keep stuff away from the dyno, in and out. For the dyno stuff, basically. You've been to the shop, you've seen how we squeeze,
because you got to move stuff around.
Yes.
I went to a detail shop in Coon Rapids a couple weeks ago, so they just again doubled their shop space. Because like before they would have to wait. I'm gonna have those guys on too. I think what is it? I can't. The name isn't coming to me. God damn it! But basically they would have to like spray cars on one side, and they can't do PPF or ceramic because they have to wait to clean the cars, and just a crazy mess. So same thing over you. It's like you can't work on this because this is in the way.
Yes, one thing gets in the way, and then it ruins the whole day, basically.
Especially when you have a couple guys or a few guys sharing the shop, and I could see that being an issue.
It's a struggle, but we're working through it. So we've been doing good through it. So
So so you mentioned before we started the podcast that I've always wanted to ask you this. So so were you born overseas then?
I was born overseas, yes.
Okay, where at?
Yeah, Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia? Okay, gotcha. And then how long did you live over there?
Basically half of my age, literally. I mean, I've been here for 13 years now. Okay. But I've also went to kindergarten here, so total of 15 years, I want to say, is here in the States.
Okay.
And that was all Minnesota as well, so.
Gotcha. Was that because there was like a good program to come here or anything, or
no? Actually, my dad back in the day had a scholarship as well.
Oh, okay.
So he basically had to take the whole family, me and my brothers, just come over here and then finish up his schooling, and then basically went back, and then I finished high school over there.
Okay.
Then came back here. That's kind of how.
Okay.
Tracked back to Minnesota because we started with Minnesota to begin with.
I was gonna say, like, you started kindergarten in 16. I was like,
no.
We had a similar story. So my parents actually were refugees too. So a lot of my family actually ended up here in Minnesota at first, because Minnesota is really great with like refugee programs and stuff. So like for example, we have a lot of Somalis here. So same thing kind of applied to us. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, whatever. So that's how we ended up here, and then the rest of our family just kind of moved across the country, but we stayed in Minnesota because I kind of like it here. I mean, even though we have snow next week.
I mean, not gonna lie, I love Minnesota, but the weather just kills me. 13 years and I'm still complaining about the weather.
Every year.
I was just talking to the guys downstairs. I'm like, I'm not really liking this weather.
I'm surprised you brought your Corvette out in the snow here. That's a Z06, right?
That's a Grand Sport.
Grand Sport. Yeah. I can never keep
up.
That
one is sold and going overseas actually soon here. Most of the ones I had, they were all sold and just going overseas basically.
Okay.
Just helping a friend over, they're really expensive overseas, and it's hard to find a clean one per se.
How expensive did it get? Like in dollars, I guess. How much more expensive could it be?
I want to say like $6,000-7,000. Is an average.
Just for the price of the car. That doesn't include shipping it.
Not shipping it, just the price of the car, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pull this closer just a little bit more.
Yeah. And suppose people want something new to their area. They don't want to buy a local car. That everyone saw before. That everyone did this to it before. So you want something new, basically.
So what's hot over there for like the tuning industry, or like what's big for cars out there?
So everything is big over there, but import compared to the US over here is huge over there.
Like 2J, like Supras,
2Js, basically, GTRs, overall, it's just huge.
Always GTRs. I see like these big shops like AMS and all that, like they're always sending stuff to the Middle East.
Correct, yes. Especially GTRs, actually, in the last couple of years, it's just been huge over there. I haven't gone back in a while, so it's kind of, I've been kind of missing a lot on what's going on over there.
When's the last time you were over there?
2018.
Oh, that's not too bad. 5 years ago. Okay.
But even before that, I just go there for like a month, 3 weeks period, and just come back here. So I don't really get to spend a lot of time over there,
right,
and see what's going on, really, And most of the time that I've been gone back is the summertime over there.
Oh,
summertime
hot as shit.
Very hot, and there's really no race events. There's no car events.
Yeah, because it gets up to 110 or whatever, right? Yeah.
So there's really nothing.
Yeah.
So it's just a bad timing for me to go back in the summertime and not see anything like car community over there, basically. But it's all right though. I mean, I've been following, and seeing progress of what's going on over there. So it's been really huge on the racing side of it too. More tracks are opening, obviously, over there.
Really?
So,
Okay.
Yes.
Don't they have Don't they have a Formula One track over there?
They do. Bahrain.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So
yeah.
that's the official F1 track in Bahrain over there.
Okay,
Yes,
so they probably have a really good who's the team that they support out there, right? Because like if you go to like Japan, they love Lewis Hamilton for some reason.
Yes. Not sure who exactly they support. I don't really follow much of it.
Yeah.
But actually recently I've been, just watching as the guys do watch over there, and I just want to follow and see what's going on, really.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I'm not a huge fan of F1.
You just don't have the time.
I just don't have the time. Not the time, really. I mean, I just don't have the... I don't know. It just doesn't get me.
Okay.
It's one of those things, there's nothing bad about it. And, it's obviously one of the best, sports out there, honestly, in my opinion, Maybe because I'm also not a huge road course, type of a guy, that kind of track.
Are you more like drag racing then? Or?
Drag racing is what it's at, really. So
okay.
For me, at least,
Uh-huh.
Maybe that's why I don't really follow the track side of it, the track racing side of it. But it's definitely, has been growing the last couple of years as they grow in the Middle East area as well. They have, so last year, I think, that was last year. They had a first time in Saudi Arabia, actually. It was last year. It was last year for the F1s.
Was last year the first year?
I think it was last year, the first year.
Oh, that's okay. Yes. Yeah, it's coming back to me now. Yeah.
And they're actually building a new track now, and they're hosting back this coming year as well. I think February. I think.
Yeah.
It's back to back. Bahrain and Saudi Arabia is back to back. So that's gonna be huge for them over there.
Yeah. Didn't you guys go over there recently for F1, or is that somebody else I'm thinking about?
Not me. No, I have not gone there.
Some people at the shop did, right? Or no?
Nope, not from the shop.
I'm confusing somebody else. Then somebody brought their entire shop out over there. I was like, huh.
Actually, we do have a plan of going earlier next year.
Okay.
The entire team at the shop. So we do have a plan of going to
that'd be really cool.
An F1 overseas.
Yeah, and probably you'd probably spend a few weeks over there, maybe.
I would love to spend a couple of weeks down there. Yes,
especially during the winter when it's a little.
It's gonna be a really nice weather. So,
what's the weather like over there? Like when it's like winter.
Mid 50s.
Well, that's actually really
60s.
Nice. That's the
and that's really cold for them over there. Excuse me. But it's nice, I mean, the weather. I think the weather in the 60s is nice, even over here. If it stays like in the mid 60s, it's just perfect.
Yeah. No, that's exciting. So then, you said a lot of tracks are opening up over there. Is that more like drag strips then, or
both actually?
Road course too.
Road course and drag strips. Yes. Yeah.
Well, they also. I feel like they don't have as much bullshit rules like we do over here to open stuff.
It's everywhere, but they kind of get around it somehow, some way.
Yeah.
Lot of rules everywhere, really. I think the newest track in the Middle East now is Kuwait, I believe. So it's called Kuwait Motor Town. So that's the newest one.
Okay.
So it's a full road course, full drag strip, quarter-mile drag strip. It's literally a state-of-the-art track, basically. I haven't gone there, but from the videos and pictures that I've seen, it looks really nice, I really want to visit someday, actually.
So have you? So I guess have you done a lot of like road course then?
I have not actually. Really? I've done several in Brainerd, 7 open track days in Brainerd. I mean, obviously nothing professional level or whatever,
right.
But I've enjoyed it, to be honest. It was fun. I did it in my GTR actually.
Okay.
In the GTR, yes.
Yeah, actually, so I was kind of scrolling on your Instagram because it was funny because like when I followed you back, you actually shared your old GTR in front of a helicopter.
Sometimes I do go back and just share some older pictures just to bring it back.
Yeah, that was like perfect timing. Yeah. So, what year was that car?
95.
95. How long did you have it for?
About 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, 2014 is when I bought it.
That's what's the 95? That's R33, right?
R33 GTR, correct. Yes.
Yeah. I was kind of like scrolling a little bit. So, what'd you have all done to that thing?
That was a very basic setup, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, I bought it completely stock with just an exhaust, really, nothing crazy. Obviously, I tore into it, took the engine out, transmission out, and just dug into it. bottom end was still healthy, so kept bottom end stock, obviously. Just built ahead, just with mild stuff, nothing crazy. It's just all off the shelf stuff,
I think it was like 450 or something wheel.
Just a mild 500 horsepower, 400 torque, really. All-wheel drive. It was a fun car.
That's a lot for a little. I mean, it's good for a car like that.
It is good. It was it had stock twin turbos when I bought it. That got old quick, so I had to go to a big single turbo, obviously. So, but yeah, stock bottom end, big single turbo. Just mild cams and nothing crazy, stock intake, and just a little fuel system upgrades to support the power. Nothing crazy, Yeah.
Was it left or right hand drive? I didn't see that.
It was a right hand drive.
Right-hand.
Yes.
Dude, they were so before COVID. They were all so cheap.
They were cheap, yes.
Yeah, well, relatively speaking, cheap, because like now they're way more.
They are.
Yeah.
They are way more, and I cannot justify that, honestly. I mean, I would never pay that much for that. Such a car like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a nice car. It had its legacy at some point, in life. But for how much they're asking nowadays, it's just insane to me, at least.
What are they asking for?
I sold mine. When did I sell mine? I sold it in 2020.
Okay.
But I bought it in 2014, I believe. Yeah, 2014.
Okay.
Actually, funny story. I bought it on Black Friday. It was a smoking deal. So I bought it on Black Friday.
Okay.
Actually, backtrack on that same deal. Speaking of, liking both kind of platforms, domestic and imports, MK4 Supra was my all-time favorite, obviously. I mean, there's a lot of people too, you just can't deny that, And I had a plan to go down to Oklahoma City to buy one from one of my friends, actually. That deal just didn't happen, So I was like, well, I'm not going back to Minnesota with no car. I'm down here already, right? So keep driving down to Dallas, Texas.
You just kept going?
Yeah. Well, I had a lot of relatives down there too.
Okay.
So it just made sense to go down there and just hang out, for a week or so. And I somehow found the GTR, down there, and just went and looked at it, and we just sealed a deal with this guy, and I just was just gone from there, really. I mean, it was a smoking deal. People were shopping, and I'm buying a GTR on Black Friday, basically.
Was it pretty clean then?
It was decent when I got it, but I had to do a lot to it.
Okay.
No paint, though. Nothing paint-wise, Interior, I had to change a lot, seats.
Okay.
It had bucket holder seats in it, so I had to clean up the interior, really, But otherwise, no, it was not that bad.
Okay.
No.
That's one of the deals that, I think he might be a mutual friend of ours, but I can't say who it is, unfortunately, because he doesn't want to release it yet, but he just picked up a ZR1 for a smoking deal. But same thing, he has to redo the interior.
Yeah, I know the whole story.
Yeah, you know that. You know the car I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. It's gonna be my first time riding in a ZR1 once we get to, hopefully the weather stays good, because I'm going to SEMA next week, so I'm not sure.
No, I know the whole story. I was talking to him, actually, and
yeah,
I basically know everything, so.
Yeah. Well, you say you will with the thing?
I know everything about it. So. I talked with him. I know who you're talking about. So.
Yeah. I'm super excited because that car is legit, and he's already looking at buying, redoing the interior and all that stuff. I mean, it's definitely it's a race car.
It is a race car.
Yeah, it's not clean by any means, but
it's a race car.
Yeah,
race car are not meant to be clean.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, like Sundays, like for example, like I just came back from Milwaukee. I went with Minneapolis Mopar out to Milwaukee because he was testing his Viper with the new setup and all that. And even though, a lot of people are like, oh, ACR, got to keep it clean or whatever, then you get guys like him that are, I'm going to go track the fucking thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a race car. You got to track it. You got to enjoy it, you sure got to keep it clean.
You got to take care of it.
You take care of it, basically. You're not going to, just destroy the thing out there,
Yeah.
But I've seen some people don't really care, honestly, They will just destroy a whole race car, They just don't care, I guess,
Yeah, I just saw a Viper go up for sale recently. It was like Extreme GTC or whatever it was, and it had like 18,000 miles, but it was only 180,000. And it's like that same car, if it was not tracked like crazy like that one was, it'd be like 250,000 or whatever. So it's crazy, like having that race car depreciation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you got to, if you're a shop owner or if you work on cars, it's a lot easier to do that too. So
Definitely is, yes.
yeah. So then, okay, so when you got that car, so you had it for about 5 years.
Yes.
Did you have anything else? Did you have your Corvettes or anything back then too, or no?
Well, I actually had a Corvette before the GTR as well. So started with the Corvette actually.
Yeah.
That was an older Corvette. That was a 1994 C4 Corvette as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a completely stock, just clean, your typical clean stock Corvette. I did some stuff, some simple exhausts, wheels, ZR1 wheels actually, and some simple stuff, nothing crazy. It was a 6-speed car, so it did held its value.
Okay.
Being a tan interior, white exterior, 6
Okay,
speed,
that's legit.
so it was a really clean car overall. So I think I've had that one for 3-4 years, I want to say. And I actually bought the GTR before I get rid of the Corvette as well. So, but it got to a point that I had to let one of them go, basically.
Right.
So, yeah, that was a really fun car, to be honest.
Dude, it's
Really
so
fun
funny.
car.
I was watching, so my mom sometimes like she'll be playing like music videos in the house or whatever, typical immigrant stuff.
Yeah.
And in a music video, it's a Bosnian song or whatever, it's on YouTube, and I'm like, I had to double take. I'm like, is that a fucking C4 Corvette? And like the whole thing was like, it's like a futuristic kind of, whatever. You know how music videos are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is that C4 Corvette in there? Like, did they really think that's like a futuristic car? Because it kind of has that like DeLorean look, like kind of like sleek, you know. So then they put like aero plates on the side. I'm just like, oh my God, dude, this is what they're doing back home.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But so, okay. But yeah, so when did you start working on cars then? You said when you were like 15, 16?
I mean, I basically, started doing my own stuff. Obviously,
Okay.
I've always, done my own thing. I've never really brought a car to a shop for them to work on it for me. I've just always, learned how to do it myself. Just growing up with my, older brothers, they were always, doing their thing, their own thing as well. My older brother is a certified GM tuner, so
Okay.
I spent a lot of time with him. On the dyno, on and off the dyno, back in the day before I even come to the US,
Okay.
So I kind of learned a lot along the way, just hanging around, like-minded people, I would say. It just kind of grew on me, from there, really, yeah.
What was your first car?
I had a Nissan Altima, actually.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Do you have big Altima energy? Do you road rage in traffic?
I've had one of the older ones, the 90s.
Okay.
Ultimates, yeah.
Man, Altima drivers are fearless, dude.
I mean, yeah, yeah.
It's freaking flying by. So then, okay, so you're not much of a road course guy then. So did you build any like drag cars for yourself or not really?
I have not, actually.
Really? Okay.
I do plan on doing something someday,
Uh-huh.
when the time is right, actually. But no, I have not built a drag car before. No, I have
Okay.
not. Always been a street car, kind of deal.
Okay, so go out to like Saturday night and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
go out
Okay.
Saturday nights, kind of street car deal. Even at the track, street car still. Well, like I said, just hanging out with my older brothers and family back then. Drag racing was so big back home as well. So that kind of grew on me on a younger age, basically. That's kind of how kept it in mind this whole time, of being on the drag racing side versus the road course, deal. But one day, I do plan on building a full-on blown drag car for sure.
Would it be a Corvette?
Most likely.
Most likely.
Most likely it's going to be a Corvette, yes.
Okay, so yeah, so when you say you had a little bit of like, JDM and you had a little bit of muscle then, when you think muscle, were you a big Chevy guy then?
I was never big, like either Chevy, Ford,
Okay.
not type of, a guy that would say I'm big into Chevys, I'm big into Mopars,
Right.
I was never that guy, honestly. I love them all. I love Chevys. I love Ford, Mopars are kind of growing on me. I have not really, been into them much, but I mean, it's a V8 supercharged engine, so
Yeah.
nothing can go wrong, right? No, I mean, they make power, anything that makes power, makes you happy, really. So that's kind of how, imports, a lot of people think about imports as, small engines. They don't make power. They, the V8 guys don't really like the smaller import engines, you know, that kind of deal. I was never that type of person, you know. I'm both ways. If you follow me, you'll know. If you hang out with me, you will know. You know, I love both of them, imports and domestics.
Yeah, I was really surprised because, like, again, I've never seen you work on or be around a domestic until at Copo, you know, a couple weeks ago. I was like, okay, what's going on in here? And then you're like, oh yeah, I'm just, you know, getting this car cleaned up or taken care of, get it running properly or whatever. So yeah, I've been watching a lot of like 2JZ and B58 videos lately. Like I've been watching like Real Street Performance on YouTube. Yeah. Just trying to get familiar with it because like you know a few weeks ago we had a engine builder on. I don't know if you know Jim Hall from TPIS, but
that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, so he same like you. He does domestic and
import,
JDM. Yeah. So like his specialties is like early 2000s LS sort of stuff.
Okay.
But then he'll also do like pretty much a lot of Datsun stuff and a lot of Supra, like old Supra stuff.
Old Supra stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So if I probably messed something up in there, but basically old JDM, old Chevy stuff.
Sense.
So so it's like super cool. And then I just kind of got this like bug. I'm like, all right, I have to learn how some of this stuff works because you know I barely work on my own hoopty. I don't do much of anything. Just because like I don't have anywhere, like it's my only car, so if I fuck it up, I'm gonna spend double taking it to a shop.
Yeah.
But it's super cool to learn about all that stuff. So then how'd you end up eventually at Mohs then? What was the story that got you there?
So like I said before, for those who don't know, Mo is my uncle.
Yeah.
And Hussein, Mo's business partner, is my cousin as well. So it's basically a family business. You know, it's my family. You know, a lot of people, you know, message me. They're like, "Oh, you still work at Mo's?" I'm like, "Yes." And even if I leave, I will still be with Mo's because essentially it's my family's business. You know, I'm not going nowhere. You know, but yeah, that's how it kind of started. Really, I did have another job before opening the shop actually, but that's when COVID hits actually.
Okay.
So I was on furlough from my other job for like 3-4 months.
Like a government job or?
No, it was a manufacturing company.
Okay.
I used to do a lot of the CNC press brake stuff. You know,
okay.
Somewhat, it's a metal company basically. But after that, we just never heard back from that company.
Okay.
You know, COVID, everything got messed up. You know, a lot of people lost their jobs and stuff. So essentially, I started working. You know, I mean, we built the shop to begin with. I built the shop with Mo and Hussein over there.
Yeah.
We literally did everything. You know, from the dyno install and the dyno cell, painting. You know, epoxying floors, everything. We did everything ourselves basically. And since then, it kind of just grew. And, you know, the business grew fast. You know, obviously.
When did it open?
2020.
Really?
COVID.
Oh, really?
When
okay.
COVID hits.
Gotcha.
2019 we had the shop, but we were not in business yet. We were just building the shop basically.
Okay.
Getting everything ready. But no, 2020 was the official opening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. For some reason, I feel like you guys have been around longer. I guess it's so weird.
So Mo did have the fuel injector service way long before the shop. He used to do it from his small shop at home, basically. So he offered the service a long time ago. A lot of people knew him back then, so that's probably why people maybe thought it was longer for the actual shop being around.
Because the name was just around a little bit longer.
The name was around, you know. Yeah. Mo was still Mo, you know.
Yeah.
You know, that's probably why, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, do you guys kind of specialize? Well, yeah, you do. You say you kind of do a little bit of everything, then.
We kind of do a little bit of everything, really.
Okay.
A little bit of everything, not everything. It's just a little bit of everything, really. Yeah. So, sometimes, well, not picking and choosing, but if it's something that we have knowledge and support for, we definitely like to do it. You know.
Or if you can like outsource like help or something like that.
I mean, outsourcing help is always good, but if you get a big volume of that platform, outsourcing help, it's kind of
gets tough.
Not ideal, you know. It gets tough. You need somebody that's, you know, right away on top of it, you know. But no, I mean, like I said, we do a little bit of everything. if you see exotics around, that's because, Hussein, the owner, that's where he comes from. His background is from the exotic side of cars, platform. McLarens, Porsches, that's kind of his deal. That's where he comes from. If you see Fords and muscle cars, obviously that's Mo. He come from a Ford background basically.
Okay.
So that's kind of how it is. If you see imports, I mean, maybe it's me, I don't, I'm the one, that came from the imports kind of platform. Or in general, any European car, that's all Hussein. That's where he come from, high-end exotics, BMWs, all that, Audis even too. That's why you see a little bit of everything really over there. So
because everybody kind of has their own thing. Yeah.
And the Mopar, obviously, Bryce is a huge Mopar guy. That community is just huge here. It's just big, So I was surprised sometimes. I get surprised sometimes of how much people, wanting on, to spend on their cars. Really, I've noticed that the Mopar community is just. It's one of those deals. They have no questions. They just want to do it. Even if it's not ideal to to us, for example, they just want to do it. That's what I've noticed, at least. But yeah, that's why you see basically everything over there. Yeah.
There's only a handful of shops, or I think honestly, outside of Bryce, who else works on Mopars around here?
There are several, but not that I really know of.
Yeah.
Like really well, so
yeah,
I haven't followed Mopar much, so I don't really know. So, but there are several other shops.
I know there was one shop here that was kind of messing everybody's stuff up. I won't say who it is, but they were basically just fucking everybody's stuff up.
That's that's unfortunately you see that everywhere.
Yeah,
that's everywhere. There's really no way around it. I mean, unless it's a big non-support at the end of that shop will end the life of that shop basically. But I mean, not seeing that happen anywhere here really. They just keep growing, I guess. So
yeah, it's so funny. I always want to try to. I hold myself back from talking any shit because like the other day he tuned like an RT Challenger and I think it was like 450 wheel and I'm just sitting here thinking like, well, my GTI could smoke that. Like,
right? It's impressive. Looking at these European cars too.
Yeah.
I was never really much into the European cars, but over the last couple of years, they just been evolving like crazy.
Yeah.
They're just growing. They're making power. They're making real good power, and they're showing it at the track. They're not just making power and that's it.
Dude,
they're showing numbers at the track, and that's what I love to see. Everyone can make power, right? But is that power really getting applied to the ground? Is that power really getting you a time slip?
Is it consistent?
Is it consistent? All that stuff. Like I said, everyone can make power, but I mean, you just have to prove it, and show people that time slip and back it up with that, power that you're making. Really.
It was crazy. So at Milwaukee, there was a bunch of Beamers came from Chicago or whatever. And like the new ones, like the M4, the M4 comps, even a few, like I think there was like a couple M8s or 8 series or whatever.
Okay.
Dude, it's not the M4s. I don't know what they had done to them, but they were just running. One of them ran a high 9.
And they're consistent. That's the big thing, If you're not consistent in racing, you're not winning.
Yeah.
It's just basic, If you're not consistent, you're not winning. And that's what I like about the European cars, They're really consistent, They make a lot of power. They're really consistent, Not going to say they're easy to make power, but, they do make a lot of power on a small engine.
Yeah, well, downpipe and a tune for a lot of them.
Just your simple downpipe tuning, intakes, basically. It just... I mean, those cars are kind of detuned from the factory.
Yeah.
That's why you see a lot of gain once you put a simple downpipe.
Like that M2, dude. Yeah. You saw that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking 700 wheel with a downpipe in it, too.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people will be really, really surprised of it. I mean, honestly, like I said, they're just detuned from the factory. They were built to make a lot of power. They just didn't, sell the car with a lot of power, basically,
Yeah.
And that all goes to, I want to say emissions, the EPA stuff, you know,
Yeah.
all that stuff, you know.
I feel like they also probably, if I was a manufacturer, like I would rather just overbuild it so I don't have to deal with warranties and
Correct.
stuff. So it's like, all right, let's make this thing doubly strong or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense. And then again, like you said, emissions, like that is so
Emissions.
restrictive.
Very restrictive, yes. Yes.
Do you have to deal with a lot of that, or I guess I guess I don't know. Let me think of what the question is basically, because when you start messing around with emissions or whatever, do you have any issues with that or not really in your position?
No, not really. No, we never had any issues with emission stuff. No.
Yeah, because I
Not
know
at
like
all.
some of the diesel guys, like we're getting hit with that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard some stuff about, you know, diesel guys.
Yeah.
Getting in trouble with, you know, EPA emission.
When you start messing with the
Yeah.
DEF and all that.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we don't. We never had to deal with any of that. We never
Mm-hmm.
had any issues, fortunately. So,
What's the biggest gain that you've seen on a car? I
like
guess
power wise,
Yeah.
Oh, don't really recall anything on top of my head,
Mm-hmm.
but I've seen some impressive gains with going back to downpipe intake deal,
Yeah.
and just tuning for that. That's obviously a lot of gain there, but don't really recall anything that I want to say impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's definitely something, you know, impressive that had happened, but
Uh-huh.
I don't really recall anything really on top of my head. At least now. B58 Supras are obviously a really
They're ridiculous.
yes, you
Yeah.
know, for what it is, you know, on a stock turbo setup. We've done several of those, and we've seen the power gain on those. I want to say that's a really, really good gain on a stock engine, stock turbo with, again, high flow downpipe. You know, you don't have to touch the fuel system. You don't have to do really anything. You know, it's sure expensive to get it done, but it's really rewarding power wise. Really, you know,
Because you can get what, 550, 600
You
wheel
can
on
get-
stock turbos?
stock turbo. I've seen it max out at like 520 ish.
Okay.
I want to say that's maxing out stock turbo. That obviously depends on the elevation, you know,
Right.
what it's done really. We personally have not seen a 520 out of any Supra so far on a stock turbo.
Okay.
Here, at least, of the ones we did, and that's most likely due to elevation, basically. You know, Minnesota is not, you know, is not a high elevation, but it's technically not decent for power. Basically.
We're about like, we're 1,000 above sea level, I think.
And that's quite a bit for making power, you know. If you go Florida sea level, that's a whole different story,
Right.
You know. So yeah, I mean, I think the B58 is a really good platform. It's growing fast. I personally love the Supras. I love how they look, you know. I like how small they are compared to other cars, basically.
Yeah, it's very
you
easy
know.
to weave in traffic.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's compare it to a GTR, for example, right?
Which is huge. It's
Which
a boat.
The GTR is a boat, and if you look at the price, it's a huge difference as well. You know,
Yeah.
Supra is very affordable,
They just dropped below 50 finally.
right? See,
Yeah.
but if you go look at a GTR, it's, you know, 70 plus, 80 plus,
Yeah.
thousand. You know,
80 or 90 plus for a decent, like if you're talking like comparable like miles, you know,
Yeah.
because like first of all, nobody wants a 2009, 2008 GTR.
No, not at this point, at least. You know, yeah, 2017 plus is where it's at.
Because
really.
you got to
Yeah.
jump so much, you got to dump some money into it, you know, get the if the trans isn't updated already, you have to update that.
Correct. Yes.
We had Mo or Mo Alabadi on or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And we were talking about his GTR and like what he did into that. And it's like, yeah, you have to update the trans and we're good to go. Or no, I think it already had it when he bought it. But that's the thing. That's something to look for is, does it have the updated trans?
Is it? Yeah. 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 Unfortunately, some of those cars with the manufacturer defect, well, not necessarily a defect. Well, the GTRs had the big issue with the bell housings to begin with.
Yeah.
So that's a huge issue there. I mean, it's a simple fix, but I mean, it still is an issue. You know, I'd rather not buy a car with that issue, knowing
Right.
that it might have that issue at least. You know, I mean, luckily our company found a fix for them, and they just, you know, come up with a solution for it. It's not cheap, but I mean, it's a solution, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like people are happy with, you know, that solution, really. So
Mm-hmm.
we've had several of them come through, actually, for bill housing. You know, the bill housing rattle, you know,
Yeah.
it's annoying. It's real annoying.
You guys have a good bit of GTRs coming through, right?
We've had some, yeah.
Some.
We've had some, yeah.
Yeah. Do people like coming to you guys because you guys have a dyno set up too? Does that kind of help?
Probably. I mean, that helps. I mean, I had a lot of people come in. They never knew that we had a dyno either. So,
Okay.
So that, I mean, the dyno is definitely a big help for sure. Obviously, we offer the tuning service as well. So, for a lot of platforms actually. So the GTR is actually one of the platforms that we offer tuning for. So I get a lot of inquiries about the GTR stuff too. So every now and then, yeah.
I think it helps because you guys did a great job with that event. I didn't make it out, but the night tuning event or night dyno event, sorry.
Yeah.
Because you guys, you were running from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. basically.
Basically, we started at 5 p.m. We ended at 5 a.m.
Yeah, and you had, I think you said 52 cars?
52 total cars on the dyno. Correct.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. We've had people register and just leave. We've had people register and just cancel, you know. I mean, it wasn't for anyone, really. If they were not willing to stay around, and I get it, you know, it's a long time waiting. I was surprised that people really stayed that long, you know, just for dyno, you know. And some people were not waiting for their cars to go on the dyno. They're waiting for cars to go on the dyno and so they can just watch them. Yeah. 5 a.m., you know, I'm like, okay. I mean, people love this, so they enjoyed it, right? But yeah, obviously I personally was not expecting that much car count to go on the dyno, really.
Dude, it was packed.
It was packed.
All the videos and the photos I saw, like you had so many people show up.
It was a packed house. It was a good time, though. It was a good time. We definitely plan on doing it every year again. But probably going to be a little bit earlier in the year just so we avoid the weather. I mean, we got lucky that weekend, honestly, because the weekend before that, it was really cold, actually. Like, real cold. We just got lucky that weekend. It was an 80-degree sunny day, really. And it just stayed warm all over the night, actually.
I heard it was hot and muggy, right?
It was hot and muggy, and cars were not making power. Yeah. Because it was muggy, you know, which is fine, you know. It just shows people that, hey, there's not, you know, manipulation in this dyno deal, you know. There's no numbers manipulation. And when it comes to numbers, you know, the car's gonna react and make power to whatever the weather is, really, you know. Ambient temp is 80, the car is gonna feel that 80 temp through it, you know.
It's crazy how different, like, I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before, but it's like, it's crazy how big of an effect like 5 degrees has on your car. Like, I know, like, because I'm front wheel drive, right? So I have to deal with, you know, losing traction or whatever all the time. But like in the summers, like, I hook really easy at like 90 degrees, but it feels like a slug. But then if I go into, you know, 60 degrees like it is now, it's like, oh my God, it's a completely different car. Yeah. And those guys probably felt it too, you know, 80 degrees. Like,
definitely felt it, yeah.
Nobody broke 1,000.
Nobody broke 1,000, no.
Yeah.
I was really hoping to see a 4-digit number, you know. Obviously, you know, it's there were, I mean, you know, there were cars that were capable of doing it, you know.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
Like I said, it was a muggy day. I mean, so the average was really, you know, I want to say in the 700 horsepower.
That was the most impressive part.
That was the average, really, you know, which is nice, you know, to see cars in that average, because that power level is the perfect, you know, power for the street, honestly, you know. Anything over 1,000 on the street is just, I'm not gonna say too much. It's just not, you know, as fun, I want to say.
It's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. It's not as fun. I mean, if you're really doing it to, you know, compete and race people, at least on the street, you know, you're not going to find some, you know, it's not easily to find a high horsepower on the street.
Oh, I get what you're saying, yeah.
You know, to actually compete, you know. You're sure going to roll around with 600, 500 horsepower cars, which doesn't really make sense to race, you know.
It's tough in Minnesota, right? And especially, like, again, I haven't made it out to any of these events, but it's like, it's hard to get in those groups too, because, like, you know, how many people here have 1,000 horsepower, and then how many of those people want to even go racing at night? You know, it's like, Because usually the people that can afford 1,000 horsepower also got families that they gotta get home to,
Yeah.
and it's like I'm not going out at 11 at night, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, throughout the summer, there are specific weekends that
That are just
for
perfect.
some reason, it's just perfect, and those cars just comes out and enjoy it. You know,
Yeah.
it's just several selective weekends of the year, really. You know.
Every once in a while, you'll see it. Like, for example, some of the guys that are downstairs right now, like, you know, you'll see them go out, and it's like, you know, maybe like once a month.
Yeah.
But everyone, like, again, 1 or 2 weekends a year, all the big boys come out too that are like,
Correct.
you know, 1,600 plus horsepower, 2,000 plus horsepower,
Yes.
because the weather's perfect. It's like 60, 65 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some heat on the streets, maybe not. But
Yeah. Especially the weekend of Street Machine Nationals at the State Fairgrounds over there.
Yeah.
That weekend is always wild out on the street later, you know, Saturday night especially.
Okay.
Friday night, not so much. Saturday night is for sure a wild night. Every year, it's just a thing, you know. Because, you know, everyone is just enjoying the show during the day. They're just, you know, they just want to enjoy the weekend, really, you know. It's a huge weekend for the, you know, big power cars at the State Fair over there, you know. They have a dyno shootout over there, which, you know, everyone wants to compete for, you know. I remember a couple of years ago, that dyno shootout at Street Machine National, the top 5 cars were like 1,600 horsepower. The top 5 cars, you know. It's fun seeing those people, you know, enjoy their, you know, builds and, you know, race cars, really. I mean, they are complete race cars, but they are driving them on the streets.
Yeah.
And that's what I like, you know, a complete race car, but you're still able to drive it on the street, you know. I don't know if you follow, but if you ever seen any of those drag and drive events, you know, Hot Rod Drag Week, you know, Rocky Mountain Race Week, you know, that's also a thing that I've always wanted to do, you know. Not necessarily in a full-blown race car, but I've always wanted to do it for the experience, you know. It doesn't have to be a fast car. It doesn't have to be a really nice, you know, big power car. All it is it's the experience, you know, just driving on the street with all these race cars.
Yeah.
From track to another, you know, especially the Rocky Mountains Race Week. I mean, if you've been to Colorado, you know how nice it is out there.
It's beautiful.
You know, I mean, imagine just driving through the mountains in a race car, you know. That's just something I've always wanted to do. A couple of years back, actually, me and Mo were talking, you know. I told Mo, let's just buy a shit box. I don't care what the car is. It's just a shit box. And we have a small block floor, the engine just sitting at home. You know, we just put a transmission on it, and we just, you know, somehow get it in that shit box, and we make it happen to Drag Week. Like, it was a thought at some point, right? It just never happened, right? The idea is still there. I still want to do it. And like I said, it does not have to be a full-blown race car. I just want to do it for the experience.
So what's holding you back from doing it next summer?
So this summer, actually, we were gonna do it, but being busy is just not it's just not an option.
It's kind of like a blessing and a curse, because being busy is more money.
It's a good problem to have, like everyone say, you know. But for me personally, the last couple of years, I just had a little setback. I just have to take care of, you know, some other stuff away from the racing, away from cars, really.
I get that.
After I saw the GTR, everyone just keep asking me, "Oh, you sold the GTR. What's next? What's next?" I'm like, "Don't worry, guys. It's something is coming, but it's, you know, when the right time to buy another car, I will do it. Don't worry. I'm not out. I'm not done." Like I said, I just had a setback. I just had a lot of stuff to take care of. So
yeah,
I get for that. Next year, for next summer, even if not me personally doing it, I know Bryce does have a plan for doing drag weekend, which is a Midwest thing, actually. So the guy that does that event is from Minnesota, actually, but they basically go around in the Midwest, like Indiana, Illinois, Kansas City, I want to say, somewhere around there. I don't have the full route. That was a thought. But no, me and Bryce actually were talking, and he is thinking of doing the Rocky Mountain Race Week next year in his Jeep, actually.
Yeah.
So if that happens, I mean, I'll be down to, you know, being a co-pilot. I know, you know, it's just, like I said, for the experience, there's nothing, you know, can beat being in a race car on the street, really. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's for next year. For me personally, I think it's a stretch to do next year. You know, building cars takes a lot of time and money. Not there yet. So
to do it the way you want
to do it the way I want, yeah. But that's kind of the plan, building a race car that I'm gonna be still able to drive on the street still. It's gonna be a full-on race car, but still drivable on the street is what I want to do, basically. Yeah.
So what's that? You don't have to share everything here, but what does that plan look like? Like you mentioned earlier in the episode, you would kind of do like a Corvette or whatever.
Corvette,
probably?
The Corvette chassis was always the thing. It was always the one in mind, obviously, and specifically a C6 chassis, so a C6 Corvette. So, and not even a Z06 because it's going to be a full-on race car. There's really no sense of going spending the money on a Z06, and there's nothing going to be left from that Z06 basically.
Right.
So
Grand Sport.
Grand Sport or just a C6 base, really.
Okay.
I mean, essentially, the whole body is going to be a ZR1 style body, essentially. So, a lot of people don't know that the Z06 actually has a aluminum frame.
Okay.
Versus the base and Grand Sport are all steel frame. Building a roll cage, race car around an aluminum frame is really hard. It's not ideal. Obviously steel don't weld to aluminum. So building a cage and integrating that cage to the frame is not. It's doable. It's been done. Is it ideal? No. For the price too, you don't want to buy a nice clean Z06 and just cut it up and ruin it and just start cutting and welding into it, right? So, I think it's just a better idea to start with a C6 base or a Grand Sport.
Okay.
It just makes sense money-wise, and then the structural build of the car actually, steel frame might be a lot stronger than aluminum. Building a chassis that for that much power, obviously, you need the strength in the chassis basically all the way around.
What's the magic number for power?
15 plus basically.
Okay.
15 plus is what I it's not really a magic number, but it's a lot of power.
It'd be the goal. Like that's
It'd be the goal. Yeah. It's not again. I mean, I've never really had any specific eighth mile, quarter mile build. Quarter mile definitely, and I will have to see a number in a quarter mile for sure. Is it going to be more eighth mile? Possibly.
Yeah.
The reason behind that is it's less wear and tear on the car doing eighth mile versus quarter mile racing. I mean, a lot of people don't realize how much wear and tear you can put and stress on the car doing quarter mile versus eighth mile. But that's kind of how the plan is. I mean, so it's going to be a full-on street car. Well, not a full-on street car per se, but it's going to be drivable on the street. If you look at it, street cars really go for the quarter mile. No eighth mile street cars really. They all follow the quarter mile numbers. 8-second street car, 7-second street car, that kind of deal. They don't talk eighth mile.
Yeah, I got a 5-second street.
It just doesn't sound right.
Right.
Eighth mile street car, it just doesn't sound right.
Yeah. But that's the other thing. Like, this is something that I learned, again, this past weekend. I learned so much more. It's like the eighth mile is so important, though, in the quarter mile.
Correct. The short track is very important, yes.
Yeah.
Basically, if you, start with a good 60-foot, basically, you make it to the 330 in a decent time. And then, short track 660, eighth mile. If you get that really good to begin with, and then you can carry on the quarter mile, that's really important as well. Yes.
Yeah, it was super cool to learn about that stuff because, like, again, like the, Minneapolis Mopar, he was having a consistent 60-foot of 1.5, and that was, every single time. It was really good. He posted on his story, and it's just like some legit times on that. But it's super cool. Honestly, I feel like that's the one I would probably do the most. I don't know. I really liked autocross. I still have to try road course. But I don't know. Something about drag racing it's just exciting to me.
It's different. I mean, not being biased, but it's just different. I've seen all of other type of racing, and just they're not just as excitement. I want to say, even just watching them. Don't get me wrong. Road course stuff is fun. Even watching them. They just taking corners like on higher speed. That's definitely impressive. But also going real fast in a straight line, drag racing is really, really impressive to me, at least.
Especially if you understand it too.
If you understand it, a lot of people say, "Oh, there's no skill in it. It's just a straight line. They just go and just hold on to the steering wheel. That's
I thought that too once upon a time.
Well, that's not it. It's a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it definitely has skills in it. Lots of skills. And I can prove anybody wrong with that. I can bring you a full-on race car, and I just want to be like, hey, go do a 7-second pass in that car. I will give you a whole week. If they never drove a race car before, right?
Right.
I'll give them a whole week. Just get all figure it out. I'll guarantee you they will never do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's kind of where the skill comes in, skill in knowledge, on how to get the car to work on the track, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of stuff, it's a lot of stuff that comes into it. Speaking of temperatures earlier, how different temperatures, makes difference. Track conditions is really important, obviously. Huge. Track conditions. A lot of people don't really think it's huge, but every single bit of it really, affect the race car, basically.
Yeah, time of day was a big one for us because it was very cold in Milwaukee, so it's 55 degrees out there.
Mm-hmm.
That was at 2 p.m. That's when it was hottest.
Yeah.
So, and we didn't get the car on track until I want to say it was about noon. So it's like you have all that day. You got to let the track warm up because then it's got to be sticky. But then the other thing is like you need the air to be cool enough still.
Correct.
So this is why it's so sad that Houston got shut down, right? Because it had that cold ocean air.
They do have that cold air.
Yeah, they had that cold air right there. But then because it's Texas, it'll get hot as hell.
During the day.
Yes, during the day. So then, that's kind of like the sweet spot for drag racing, right? Is like, right as the sun sets, you still have that hot track. It's not cooling down too much. But then you have that, 60, 70 degree weather, which is perfect boost weather.
Correct.
So you have traction and you have power. So it's really sad that that track got shut down because that was
one of my favorite tracks, honestly.
That's where I met you the first time, I think.
I think so, yeah. What was it, 2021?
21, I think. I was there with Chaz.
Yes, with Chaz and the guys over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was one of my favorite tracks, honestly. It's just sad to see it go, It's just sad for the whole Houston area, really. They don't have a quarter-mile track anymore. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think Houston, a huge, city like Houston, and there's no quarter-mile racing down there, that's not good for them.
They got to drive 3 hours, 4 hours north to go to Dallas now.
Correct. The Texas Motorplex in Dallas, and it's Texas over there, yeah. That's where, obviously, they moved the event over there now, so. And that's a good track, too, It's very similar. It's a little bit older, though. It's very similar, though. I honestly love that track more. I mean, I love the area more than Houston, not the actual track, but the whole area is just I like Dallas more than Houston, basically. Less traffic. I mean, it's traffic everywhere, but less traffic than Houston. So, and it's also closer to us here. So
that's what I'm excited for because it is like 13 hours and 58 minutes from my house.
That's not bad at all.
That's a day trip.
Yeah, that's a day trip. Yeah.
That was the thing about Houston. It was just far enough to be a pain in the ass if you do it in one shot.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm really, really excited for that one. That one's going to be really good. And I heard that's it's better for like spectators is what I heard.
I mean, if you think about it, it's going to be it's more central than Houston, basically, closer to other people.
Yeah, it's closer to Fort Worth.
Closer to Fort Worth, closer to the Oklahoma guys, it's just not as far as Houston,
It's more central, yeah.
It's more central, basically, yeah. No, I think it's gonna be good. I think really it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be good. Yeah, I skipped last year.
That's right.
No, that's this year. This year, actually.
Yeah.
23.
Are you planning to go for 2024?
I do plan on going 24.
That's like a non-negotiable event for me now. Like ever since I went for my first time.
So I've done Texas 2K a lot in the past. I think my first one was, I want to say 2012. My first one, I think. And then it just kept going on, 2012, 13, 14, 16, just back to back. It just never stops, I just never missed it every year, really, I usually stay down there for like a week or two and just hang out, really, It's just a fun escape from the winter up here, really. Yeah. So, no, I mean, I think Texas 2K is a really good event. It's growing over the years. My opinion about the event, though, versus other events, I don't see competition as big as other events at Texas 2K. People that do Texas 2K, I feel like they're more there to prove a point rather than compete.
Okay.
You know, that's how it felt like, at least. Big name, big shops competing, obviously, out there. Chasing records, you know, on a great prepped track. There's really no side-by-side competition per se on all classes, you know. Not saying there's really not, I'm not saying really, you know, there's no real fast cars out there, but I mean, I don't feel that competition vibe at Texas 2K.
I think I get what you're saying. So
Yeah.
kind of like you said, side by side, right?
Side by
It's
side
usually
racing,
just somebody blowing the doors off the other guy.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel Texas 2K is, you know. I like the roll racing over there more than the drag racing, obviously.
Okay.
So the roll racing events at Texas 2K is really good, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see all these high horsepower, you know, big horsepower cars going down. You know, it's just looking at those guys. Actually, the competition is on roll racing. Let's say that Texas 2K competition. I see that in roll racing. Drag racing, not so much.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, because one of the best. There's a few good moments, but the year that you went down there, the year that I met you, when it was Calvo and Nth Moto.
Correct.
Remember when the Kratos lifted ahead or whatever it was?
Yeah, something happened. Yeah.
But nonetheless, still won first place.
Correct.
Because it was the faster car.
Yeah.
But it was cool because it was pretty close, actually.
Yes. So that's, you know, that's why I like drag racing. You know, side by side racing is what it's at, really. You know, if you compare it to, you know, road course racing, you know, I don't see a big competition in road course. You know, the road course guys will hate me for this, but I mean, I'm just being honest. You know, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's you know, people has their own passion, opinion about stuff, but I don't see that competition really on the road course. Not that excitement, at least.
I'm not sure how it works on the classes, but so when I was putting together a highlight, so we had a Piero on episode 43, and I was actually looking over like the grid life, what's it called, times or a competition or whatever. And it was actually I was surprised how competitive it was. Like it was like first place was 99 points, second place was like 98 points.
They are really tight field. You know,
Yeah.
the field is always tight in this grid life stuff. You know.
Yeah. So do you think that is that kind of what you're saying? Like it's a different, like, because that's also kind of road course. Do you mean something like different road course then, or?
No, just in general, like open track day, for example.
Okay. Oh, okay, I see.
Let's say locally, you know, just locally.
Like Brainerd Proving
Brainerd,
Grounds.
you know, nothing big, you know, nothing, you know, nothing international, nothing really, you know, crazy. I don't feel that competition vibe, you know, don't feel that excitement vibe, basically. Even from a spectator point of view, really, you know, spectating, you know, I would rather watch something excitement, you know, powerful, you know, you feel that basically, you know.
Yeah. That's one thing I actually almost said earlier is I think this is the big thing where drag racing is so much more exciting than a road course, right? Because think of it, okay, let's say Road America, what is it, 12 corners or whatever the hell it is?
Yeah, something like that.
There's a stand at each corner for you to spectate. So whatever happens on corner 12,
you don't see it.
The people on corner 1 don't see it.
No.
Drag racing, we're all right here. We all just saw the same thing, dude.
See everything.
Yeah.
That excitement, you know, you see everything. You know?
I think that's what it is. I think everybody has that shared excitement. We all saw the same thing.
Yeah.
Even when I watch F1, it's like, oh, we got to wait for the camera to switch.
Correct. You know, every couple of minutes you see them just pass by, you know.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. Yeah, because, like, again, like, for example, unfortunately for me, I'm a Ferrari guy.
Okay.
When it comes to F1. They're like the fucking Vikings, I swear to God. Just always get your hopes up and then they fuck it up.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of how it is, unfortunately,
Yeah, but no, it's like, I'll be over here, I want to watch Ferrari, and it's like all of a sudden it's showing me like, you know, Williams or whatever. It's like a different team. And it's like, well, it's kind of hard to, you know, watch the exciting stuff because there's 20 teams to focus on.
Yeah.
Drag racing, it's this guy and this guy.
Yeah.
We're both on both sides, you know, just, I don't know. I think that's what it is.
Yes.
It's all one shared experience.
And there are a lot of different type of drag racing too, you know. You know, if you follow, there's like the no time stuff, you know, the no prep stuff, quarter mile versus eighth mile, you know, bracket racing, heads up racing, you know, there's a lot of different sections, classes in drag racing, you know, a lot actually. Some people in this class don't even know what's going on in this. You know, I know a lot of people in drag racing, they don't even know Texas 2K. You know, that's kind of how it is. You know, it's so big, and they have so much classified type of cars where they don't really, well, let's say, bracket racing. If you're familiar with bracket racing, bracket racing is basically is a certain time that that you have to achieve, basically. Let's say 8.5 index class quarter mile. You have to run 8.5 consistently. I'm not a big bracket racing guy, but to think about how consistent these guys are is really impressive. Being consistent is impressive, because that's what's gonna
it's so
lead you
crazy
to winning, basically. Not a big fan of bracket racing though. But if you watch bracket racing, it's all side by side racing. People are really passionate about it because side by side they're chasing a certain number. Like, everyone in that class is chasing one number. They're not going as fast as they can. They can go faster, but they just don't. That's how the class is built. You have to hit that certain number, and there's breakout. If you break out, you're disqualified. All that stuff. And that's kind of one section in drag racing, really. If you go to the no prep side of it, which is really growing actually the last couple of years, obviously no prep means no prep. There's no prep on the racetrack, basically. That's has been growing really, really, basically like a wildfire. Really, it's growing like nothing. It's crazy
because it's taking people off the street and onto the track.
It's taking people off the street. Big superstars names, people look for those stuff. Big payout, for the racers. If you have a good payout event, people will show up from anywhere and everywhere, really. Lots of people say, oh, Minnesota don't have any good racing up here. Well, because there's not a good event that pays out, that makes it worth it for people to travel all the way to Minnesota. That's kind of one thing. If you have a good payout event, people will show up no matter where the event is, really.
What's a good payout? Like you're talking about the purse, right?
Yes, basically. Yeah. I mean, 25,000, 30,000, 40,000. It's a lot different from event to another,
Yeah. But it has to be worth showing up.
It has to be worth it.
The wear and tear on your car.
Wear and tear, travel expenses, it's a lot.
Yeah.
You got to think how much these people spend just to get to that track, not even race, just to get to that track,
Yeah, I mean, you're talking, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 in shipping.
Yeah. That's a lot of money.
You got to get, like if you want to have an exciting event to watch, again, 1,000, 2,000, whatever horsepower cars.
Yeah.
We have an all right amount in Minnesota, but not enough for all day for an exciting event. So you need those people from those other states to come over here. And like you said, it has to be worth it for them to show up.
It has to be worth it to show up, basically. Yeah. But yeah, that's how kind of I look at Texas 2K, competition wise versus other events. There's really not much competition there, really. And a lot of people know that. There has been a lot of big discussions about this actually over the years.
Like on forums and stuff.
On forums, yeah, on Facebook, on forums, yeah. I've met a lot of people at the track that say the same thing too. End of the day, it's a big event. It's been growing. It's a good event. Don't get me wrong. It's a really good event. Socializing with people over there is just great. Just meeting the people that you see all the time. In videos and stuff. It's just nice.
Yeah, that's super crazy. Yeah. Like when you eventually put because you see people's videos or their cars all the time online, and then you see them in person, and get to be like, oh, this is actually a really cool guy.
Yeah.
That's been really fun to do over the last couple of years.
Yep. Yeah.
So would you say no prep is your favorite then, or what's your favorite style?
No, I'm not gonna say no prep is my favorite, but it's definitely something that I've been to, and I do like watching it. It's different. It's really different.
So what's your style that you would kind of prefer to do?
I still love to be on a prep track, basically. Okay. Legit prep track, heads up racing is what they call it, basically. I do like the no time events. I mean, we don't really have much up here. I mean, we actually do have a local no time event. It's called Catch at the Creek, if you ever heard about it.
Yeah, yep.
that has been really growing over the years over here. So it's probably one of the best racing you'll really find around this area for 8th Mile no time.
Where's that one at? Rock Falls, right?
No, that one is at Grove Creek Raceway. So it's just
Okay.
west of the city, basically. It's
Oh,
just like
okay.
an hour west of the city. It's not even far away, you know. It's just a small 8th Mile track. It's a really nice track, though. You know, it's really nice. But that event has been growing over the years. Lots of out-of-state people started showing up to that event, actually. Even though the payout is not huge, per se. But people love the event, so they show up from South Dakota, Iowa, you know, Wisconsin, obviously, you know, North Dakota, just surrounding state, obviously. But no, we've had a lot of people show up to those events every year. So it's a 3 event every year, basically. I think start July, June, and August.
Okay.
Yeah. If you haven't been there before, I highly recommend going and seeing that event. It starts at night, actually. They start at 5 p.m.
Oh,
and
okay.
it goes over the night, all night, until they're done is what they... Like, we've had nights until like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. just racing, really. You know?
Wow.
Which is nice, you know. I love the night vibe, especially for racing. I just love I love the night vibe over the day. Yeah.
It's actually wild how late they're working here, because like right now we're recording. I think it's probably like around 7 now.
Yeah.
They're still working here
Yeah.
at the shop. Usually
It's
they're
no
out-
different for me, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, I do it all the time. So
Yeah. That one might have actually been picked up on. Like most of the stuff that happens around here doesn't get picked up on the microphones, but like on that I don't mind.
Okay,
You know, it's
yeah.
like I don't care. But
Yeah.
so just because I'm slowly getting more and more familiar with this world, then so what is heads up racing then?
Heads up racing is basically, when you say heads up, it's you know, it's not a no time. You know, it's on a prep track. Well, not necessarily. You know, yeah. Basically, heads up. Heads up means no. It's not a no time. It's on a prep track, basically.
Okay.
So when you say heads up, it's gonna be, you know, your typical staging. Nothing, you know, in between. You know, because they have a lot of stuff in the no prep world. Did a lot of weird stuff, actually, versus class racing. You know, when you say class racing is different than small tire, you know, the small tire, big tire classes, you know, the different classes they have in racing. People refer to it as class racing is when they go from no time. So no time racing, they don't call that class racing, basically. They don't call that heads. I mean, they call it heads up, but to some point, basically. But basically, heads up is nothing different. You know, they stage the car equally. Clocks on, obviously, in a prep track, basically.
Okay.
Whether it's an 8th mile or quarter mile, there's no difference.
So basically, tree turns green and you go.
3 turns green and they go. You know, if it's not a heads up race, it's they have different styles of the tree dropping. Obviously, you know,
Yep.
they have the bracket style, which, you know, if you've seen them, it's not an instant green on the Christmas tree. Basically, you'll see the yellow bulbs just light up one by one, and then it hits the green. So if it's not a heads up race, you'll see one car. It depends on how they, you know, set it up. You know, because that goes back to bracket racing. You know, bracket racing has a lot of stuff. I don't even know much info about it, honestly, because I don't really follow it. But they have a lot of stuff that goes into the tree. The Christmas tree dropping to, I mean, the green light basically is different. Yeah, they have what they call a Pro 400 tree, bracket tree or something. A lot of, you know, essentially it comes down to what kind of racing it is. You know, is what they use for a Christmas tree, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a lot of details that goes into it. Like I said, I'm not even much familiar with it. But yeah, heads up racing, you know, time's on, basically, time clock's on. Your typical drag racing is heads up racing.
So in that instance, you're just trying to get the best time. In
Best
that one?
time, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then wasn't it Texas 2K? I think I can't remember. Were you winning? I think it was based off miles per hour, right? The roll racing, for example.
So the roll racing, I think they've changed it up the last couple of years, and they had a breakout on each class. So
correct.
For example, you know, one, I don't even know what they call their classes anymore. For example, if a car runs 170 miles per hour, you can't go faster than that. If you do go faster than that, then that's a breakout, and you basically get disqualified from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because what happens in qualifying, some people do what they call sandbagging, their car are capable of running way faster time than what they are doing in qualifying.
Correct.
Just so they get classified in a slower class than their car is capable of, basically, if you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start, leaning on it and just, go faster in a class that it's not supposed to be that fast, basically. And that's why they started having the breakout, and that stuff. And all of that is to keep parity in classes, and just keep it competitive all the way around, basically. That's what they do it, how they do it over there, which makes sense, I would, like I said, again, I would want to always see a side-by-side race,
Yeah.
That's how it is, really. Excitement, side by side.
I can't wait to go back there, dude. I'm well, not back there because it's a different track, but
Yeah.
I really wanted to go to FL2K this year, but just financially just didn't make sense for me this year.
Yeah, FL2K, it looks like it's been growing like big over the years. I've always wanted to go to FL2K as well. I've just never made it to anyone, really.
I heard the street scene isn't as good as like the Texas 2K scene.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. But they do have some street scene over there.
Yeah, I think it's tougher because it's more middle of nowhere, I think.
Not really in middle of nowhere. I mean, Bradenton, the track they have FL2K over there. It's like a 40-minute drive from Tampa, so it's not that bad, honestly.
Okay, that's actually,
yeah. Sarasota is like not even 20 minutes from there, so
yeah. I wonder why it is then, because I've always heard that the street scene just wasn't it.
Yeah.
Compared to.
Yeah, I mean, Texas has always been known for the street scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that kind of started there, really.
It's so crazy out there, dude.
It's crazy,
Yeah, I finally got to experience it properly this year because the year I went with Chaz, we had too many people in the car. Too many people wanted to do different things.
That's the problem, going with a big group of guys and, each one wants to do something different and it just gets, messy all the way around, That's why I stopped doing it with a big group of guys, honestly.
Yeah, it was just me and Sean last year.
That's perfect.
It was perfect. We were in a Durango. We got a couple races in. I think one of them against the Supra. Pretty sure he was sandbagging. He's like, I only make 550. Bullshit. I'm only on what did he say? JB4. I'm like, you're full of shit, dude. And then, but then again, a Durango is heavy as fuck too.
It is heavy.
Yeah,
it is.
That does not help. And then we just did we just raced a plaid just for fun. Like we knew we were gonna lose, but there was actually a good bit of a few Teslas over at Milwaukee this last weekend, which is really interesting. Like even like a Model X, I was just like, interesting.
Yeah,
there was a lot of weird stuff there. There was like a lot of stuff that was just like 6-7 second cars or whatever, like that are ridiculous. And then there was like a Civic SI, just a stock Civic SI running 16s. Like,
I mean, yeah. If they're having fun, right?
People got to start somewhere too, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I've always wanted to take my Golf and see what it would do. Because again, like I don't make a lot on like 380 wheel, but it'd be fun. Yeah. Just to see where I stand. But yeah.
I mean, I think that being in a different car, just like the Durango down in Texas, that's it's definitely fun. It could be it could not be the fastest thing out there, but I mean, I'm sure it catches a lot of people's eyes out there
because people don't know they even there's like because they only made 3,000 of those, the Hellcat Durango.
I've never seen one other than Sean.
I see a lot of them. Yeah, I see a number of them just because like in my area, there's there's an all right amount. I know why, but it's
okay.
Yeah, but that's the thing. There's only 3,000 in this. They just opened production up again, but it's like people are like, what the hell? Like they made it. They don't even know it's been.
They don't even know
it exists.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things, and he's got that bright blue on there.
It
so.
Definitely catch attention quick.
I'm surprised how few people like noticed. So people would. So we went to like the first meetup down this year. The big Houston get together, which is honestly, it was just a Mustang parking lot.
Okay.
Just Mustangs and just a bunch of red Corvettes. So. And then, some exotics and some cool stuff out there. But it was, again, mostly just Mustangs. Yeah. Because like everybody over there in Texas, we always make this joke, right? The second they turn 18, they get a pair of welds and a Mustang.
That is true, actually.
Everybody. They don't even have to be fast. They just throw welds on.
No, yeah. But you see a drag pack on a stock, completely stock car. I mean, it sure looks good, but I mean... It's not serving a purpose there.
It's like, dude. But yeah, we were parked over at the car show. So Sean wanted to put on his welds. So he wanted to go do some street tuning, right? And then what happened? So he had this jack or whatever, and he jacked the car up, and then the car shifted or something, and the car fell off the jack. So did you ever see the photos or videos we posted about this?
I have not, actually.
So yeah, his Hellcat Durango had fell off the jack, and he had the wheel off, but not fully off. So he literally was taking the all-season wheels that we drove down on or whatever. He wanted to throw on the welds real quick, do some street tuning, and he had the wheel just barely off, and then it fell right on the wheel. So it was just resting on that because the whole car shifted. I think we changed 3 of the 4 wheels. So what happened is then we had to we didn't have anything. The jack was broken. So we called AAA. Took forever to show. They get into the show. Guy
So this was at the show?
This is at the show. This is at the show. And people kept walking by the way. The car is like, they see the front welds because we get the front welds on.
Okay. Yeah.
So they're like, oh man, that's freaking awesome. And then Sean's standing in front of the back wheel so they wouldn't see that it's on the ground. So people were walking by. But anyways, the first AAA shows up. Guy comes over there and his jack wasn't working. So this AAA truck showed up. His jack was broken or whatever. So then he has to call back to HQ, whatever the fuck they are.
Yeah.
He's like, calls back to HQ, and the guy's asking him on the phone, like, do you know how a jack works? Because it was like his first week on the job. He's like, yeah, dude, I'm doing it right. So second tow truck comes up, and at this point, the show's clearing out, right? So we have a couple tow trucks here. It's just a fiasco. Everybody's coming over to the Durango. They're like, oh, no, what happened? Or whatever, because now they can see the car because everybody left. And then we got all the welds on. And then, cool, the trucks disappear. Everything's fine. Nothing was, I think the only thing that happened is like the plastic popped out, which honestly, that's the best case scenario. And I think he scratched one of the welds, just polish it. So then anyways, we're like, cool, we're going to go do a street tuning. And then he starts driving. He's like, he just wants to do a test drive on the parking lot. And then he starts hearing. So I don't know if you know this, but if you want to get those welds on a Trackhawk or a Hellcat Durango, you have to shave down the calipers.
Yep, I remember that.
Because they don't fit.
Yeah, they don't fit, yeah.
So apparently he didn't shave down the left side enough. So now
so it started, okay.
So it's still hearing it.
Yeah.
So he scratched up that weld now, too.
Okay, yeah.
And he's just like, there's nothing we can do here. So then there's another tow truck. A lot of people are getting towed out of the show, dude.
Oh, I mean, I'm not surprised, honestly. You see a lot of stuff happen down there,
Yeah. So we asked the guy, like, hey, can we borrow your jack or whatever? Like, that's all we need. We'll do all the work ourselves and whatever. So he's looking at us like, man, fuck, how long are you going to take? So I was like, I don't know, 15 minutes. And Sean's looking at me like, dude, you're crazy or whatever. Or no, I told him 20 minutes. So then we're just like, we'll use the jack. I'm like, you could time us or whatever. So I'm literally sitting here timing Sean, and he's doing every single wheel. So he did it all in like 13 minutes. And he had to switch from the welds to the all seasons. And that basically just kind of, he's just like, I'm not fucking with it the whole trip. Because we thought about doing it in the Airbnb, just shaving down the caliper.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do down there,
But he's just like, nah, let's just, the all season will be fine. Whatever. It's whatever at this point. But yeah, it was so funny. It just fell off. It's just one of those stories. It's just like, the weirdest shit happens at TX2K.
Yeah. And, it's nice down there, though. I mean, most of the shops will definitely, open their doors and help people out there, too. They will lend you a lift, tools and do whatever you want, really. I've seen that happen to a lot of people down there. Actually, I think it was 17 or 18. I actually took my GTR down to TX2K.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that on your Instagram.
But the minute I made it over there, so I got to the hotel in, I forgot what area it was. Just started unloading, got the car out of the trailer.
You trailered it down there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because winter up here, yeah.
Yeah. No, I had an enclosed trailer, so got the car unloaded. It didn't feel right, didn't sound right. I'm like, whoa, what's going on now? So I started diagnosing, digging into it, and then I found out that I had an injector sticking open. So I was like, okay, there's got to be someone in town that can service injectors, right? And then I just remembered that I had a spare set of injectors. Mm-hmm. Not a whole set. I had like 2 or 3 spare injectors, basically. Unfortunately, even the spare set that I had were not working properly, basically. They were failing. So I had to take the whole set of injectors from the car and just hoping to find somebody that can fix them in town. So I started asking people, making posts on Facebook, calling the people that I know around. Unfortunately, no one had anything to help with. I was like, okay, no one, we literally just got there. This was like Thursday. So, and this took a little bit longer time to get it figured out, right? So, in the hotel parking lot, it's just a pit area over there. So, luckily I had tools. I had everything on me. Like I had everything to do whatever I want to do, really. Then it started getting late, and everyone is hitting out to the meets and stuff. I wasn't down there, doing anything. I wasn't planning on going, full out racing out there. That was not the purpose. I just needed to escape the winter, just enjoy the car down in Houston. Basically,
Right?
Is
Yeah.
what it is.
Because it's probably like a beautiful 60, 70 degrees down there.
Yeah, it was nice. So it got late that night. So I was like, you know what, I'm done. Let's just put it in the trailer and just get it figured out. If I don't get it figured out, it's it is what it is. We're down here. We're just gonna enjoy it. I don't even care anymore if I get it to enjoy the car down there. But even though it was a long haul with the trailer, it's different. You're just towing a trailer. It's heavy. It just makes it a lot harder than not doing anything really. I just put in the trailer that night and just, left and just hung out with some, people at the meets out there, and just the weekend just kind of went by and the car just stayed in the trailer, really. I couldn't do anything down in Texas, really. And that was the first and last time that I brought the car down there, honestly. So
It sucks.
it was
like
not
everything,
fun, It was not fun doing that,
Everything just falls apart once you get there.
Once you get there, even though I did go through the car here before we go down there,
Yep.
I've checked everything. It works. Everything works fine, But, it was one of those deals, 85 and cold weather, I just never had the maintenance correctly, I guess, at that point, and the injector just failed and stuck open, really, along with other set of injector that I had, really. So, funny, we do the fuel injector service, for these stuff, and we had it back then. We had an injector bench machine as well, This was way before the shop, right? Where we did have an injector machine that I could have used and tested the injectors, but I just never did because the car ran perfectly fine, looking at the data logs, all stuff, it's looking perfectly fine. The minute we got there, it's not fine. No, something is wrong,
Same thing happened to Brian Dubois, whatever, Caddy Daddy.
Yeah.
Because he got there, he was gonna finish up something, or he was
I
already
seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah. So then he spent pretty much the whole weekend over there working on that.
Just working on it. Yep.
Trying to get it, and then
I think it was a crank sensor.
Was
sync.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a crank sensor sync issue. That's what he told me, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's by the end of that weekend, he's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna enjoy the last 2 days I have here, because
that's kind of how I did it, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I know some of the people that race over there. It's once they break, they're not gonna waste an entire day trying to fix it, try to get back on track. They're just like, you know what? I know better.
Yeah.
Just save it for next year. Just enjoy the rest of the weekend, because there's no point. Because then if something breaks, you compound. Yeah.
Yeah, there's really no point. If you're not really going there for racing for money, at least at the track, there's really no point of wasting and thrashing on something that I'd rather enjoy the time. I'm down there anyway.
Yeah.
I'd just rather just enjoy it.
Yeah. Are you a big? Do you do you watch a lot of YouTube or watch a lot of podcasts or anything?
I
like
do
that?
watch YouTube. Yeah,
Okay.
I watch a lot of, not a lot, but I do see
a decent
bit of YouTube stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. You know who I've been enjoying a lot lately is Cooper Bugatti.
Actually, he is doing really good. I want to say, it's just a simple guy, honestly. Doing his thing. I like how simple he does things. Very simple. Simple and different. Is what gets people. Simple and different is what gets people.
Yeah.
Really. And the 2J Camaro that he built. That's an interesting one to me, honestly. I mean, for what it is and for what it's doing, that's really impressive, honestly. A lot of the F-body guys are not happy about it. Just seeing a 2J in a Camaro. I really don't care. I love
it's cool.
I love the Camaro. I love the 2J. I don't really care. It is what it is. Even though I'm not a big swap guy, you keep the engine where it's at, really.
Yeah.
But
no,
still,
yeah.
like I said, it's a simple guy doing his simple thing. It's just fun to watch, honestly.
Yeah, I love listening to, especially when I was walking every day. I would love to throw on his podcast, or because he has interesting people come on. He has like the owner of the Bradenton Park, or
Victor.
Cletus, or whatever.
Cletus,
it's just that's one of the ones that I like to listen to because, like you said, simple guy, but
Simple
he's
guy, yeah.
I like learning about that world. That's one of the reasons I love doing this podcast because I have so many different people on. I have road course guys, I have autocross guys, I have drag race guys.
Yeah.
And these are all people I like getting to know. One, to educate the people that listen to us, because a decent amount of people, especially the highlights. Oh my god! Like I have one that's about to hit 1 million views.
I've actually been seeing the highlights. I like the highlights.
It's cool because not everybody can listen to a whole episode.
No, yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, the highlights gets your attention quick. Actually,
Yeah.
If it's something that interests you, you will probably circle back to the full podcast. Basically.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like tomorrow, I have a big Camaro guy coming on. He does a big road course guy too.
Okay,
So we're gonna talk a lot about his road course experience. But he talks about like servicing, basically servicing the supercharged platforms or whatever, just anything all GM or whatever, because that's what he grew up with. It's like, but then we'll have Ford guys, like Mike or like Dave or whatever.
Yeah.
Then we have Euro guys like Rat and AJ. It's like all these different people. So it's like, you might not listen to the Ford guy, but you'll listen to the Chevy guy. So it's super cool. It's like. Now this is your episode 47 now, right?
Okay.
So it's like when somebody goes in there, they're going to scroll and be like, oh, that's fucking Sam. I'm going to go listen to Sam's. And they're going to scroll again. Oh, who's this guy? Oh, well, there's this guy, So
that's kind of how I did it, how I see it, actually, because I've seen a lot of people that I know on the podcast here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay. I know this guy, I'm just listen to it, really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, have you listened to some of the ones?
I have, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
One of the early ones, actually.
Okay.
The earlier ones. No videos, just the
Oh,
photos.
wow. Okay. So back maybe like Mike or, Bryce, probably.
I listened to Bryce, not all of it, though, just a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, not all of it, yeah. I should actually go back and circle back and see it. Check him out, actually. I have not really,
Yeah, we've come such a far way, It's like, it was really, when you think about it, it was a hell of a commitment, because me and Sean started this in January. Okay. So like we've never missed a single week, so it's like every single week, at least one episode.
That's really good.
It's, it's pretty awesome. And the amount of guests, a lot of people that are excited to come on. That's why I wanted to get you on, like, especially when Sean was here, rest in peace. No, because he's very capable of talking of technical stuff, and I'm getting better at it, but he does a lot more work on his car. Like me, I just do oil changes on my hoopty, everything else, like Rat gets all my business,
Okay.
because he took care of me in a pinch last year, and the fact that he's letting me use a space is super cool too. But
this is great. Yeah,
I'm excited because back where you're behind you, I'm gonna start putting up some shelves, with someone like Jocko and then 3D Car Care as well. So I'll be an affiliate with 3D Car Care as well. Here soon. Yeah. They sent me a really cool care package. I can't wait to share that. It's super sick, like all this detailing product. But but no, that's the thing. Back last year when I almost sold this fucking piece of shit car, I was so mad. So I had a leaking bed plate or whatever on it.
Okay.
And it was literally just a couple days before my rally. I was going to take this car down, on my event. So I ended up riding with Chaz in his Corvette because I was like, even though Rat fixed it, I was like, I don't trust this car. I'm so mad right now. But he helped me out because he was able to get me in right away and all that stuff. So it's that's why, and he's my neighbor too. So
okay. Yeah.
Literally, I could throw a rock at his house. It's hilarious. But no, anyways, our community is so tight knit.
It is, actually.
Yeah.
It is.
Everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yep.
Yes. Unlike other states, I've been to other states and seen the scene out there, basically the community out there. It's not as tight as here. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't really get involved with anyone else, really.
They stay in their clique.
They stay in their circle, basically, Well, for example, for us over here, people think we don't know each other. Like performance shops, we all know each other.
You all talk,
we
too.
all talk, we all communicate. People think we are just looking at each other, in a competitive way. Mm-hmm. It's actually not. No. We send people everywhere, If we can't do it, we send it everywhere. I've sent a lot of people to Rat over here. They send a lot of people to us,
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it works. we work with JWP. We send cars over there. They send cars to us. We know everyone. It's a big circle, but it's tight. Everyone know each other basically. A lot of customers think it's otherwise. If this place did not do what I wanted to do, or did not do a good job on something, they will go talk about it in a different shop, for example. They don't know that different shop is probably our friends, and we all communicate, we all talk, we all know each other,
because you guys help each other out too, right?
We help each other out. It's that's just how it works.
Yeah,
we really work with everyone, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because who was it that posted the other day? Somebody was asking for like a last minute part, and then I saw all the shop owners like comment. I saw JWP come, and I saw somebody else comment, and it's like, we might have that. Like, I need a part, emergency or whatever.
Yep.
So it's really cool to see that collaborative. Like, yes, at the end of the day, you are competitors. Like, for example, a mile from here is Euro charged, right? Like, it's
correct. Yes.
But at the same time, there is that collaborative nature, which is really cool to see. I mean,
it is actually. Yeah.
It's so funny when people try to go price shopping. Like, and then you guys all kind of just like, all right, this guy just came here, like I've heard of the blacklist.
Yeah. Actually, there's a list actually. Yeah. Like, all shop owners have, one way or another of communication on that blacklist, and it's a good thing, honestly. You don't want to waste time and get involved with something that other people have already gone through and they know about. There's really no sense of doing it. It's just a waste of time, money, reputation overall is really big.
Yeah. Well, like you said, some people will talk bad about one shop or the other. And here's one thing I've noticed, by the way, because like I like to be very clear that I'm a neutral person in this car community. Like I kind of let people just kind of talk on here and whatever. I think I've only had one or two people kind of burn themselves, but that's really hard to do because, again, at the same time, like everybody collaborates. But what was I getting at? Oh, like somebody will be like, oh, I freaking hate that shop. But then they won't know that, those guys work together all the time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, somebody else has a bad review about you, so it's like,
correct.
Like at the end of the day, we're all humans. We're all people.
We're all,
Yeah. Like people make mistakes, but sometimes people do incredible service too, so.
Correct.
It's weird, but it's so funny watching like the people at the top collaborate because like they know how it is to run a shop.
Yeah. No, I mean, if it's something we can do, we will do. If it's something we're not capable of doing, if it's something we don't have the knowledge to do it, we definitely know people that can do it. And we will refer you to that place, That's how we do it, literally, like really every day, I get phone calls every day, like from, a lot of people, oh, hey, I have this Subaru. Can you fix it? I'm like, we do not work on Subarus, but I can refer you to a place that can do it for you,
Yeah.
JM Auto, just like 10 minutes from us,
Oh, are they really that close? I've heard of them before.
They're just off 610 in Maple Grove. Not even like 10, 12 minutes really from us. They specialize in Subaru. We've known them for a while, so I know they do a good job. So I refer people over there because we don't work on that platform, basically,
How about like more bigger builds? Like I know, like for example, like JWP, right? Like he'll have somebody's car in, and then he'll kind of like do like certain things, but then he'll have another shop come in and do something. Like for example, if somebody comes to you guys and they're like, "All right, build my GTR," but they also want a cage. Do you outsource somebody to do the cage too?
Like I said, if it's something we can't do it, we'll definitely outsource it.
Right.
And we're gonna outsource it with somebody that we know, we trust.
Right.
Basically, I'm not gonna just go and try something.
Right.
I want to do something for the customer that I would know 100% is gonna be legit, 100% is gonna be the right way. That's why we know we work with a lot of people. We have a lot of support from a lot of people. That what makes the service that we offer a good service, basically. Like for example, for the tuning side of it, most of the tuning we have in house is mostly remote tuning. Most of the remote tuners that we work with are actually overseas.
Yeah,
they're not
I've heard of that.
They're not even in the country. But we work with them because we know them and we trust them and we partner with them for a long time before.
Because they're the best at what they do.
Basically, we work with the best to offer the best, basically. At least that we know of, But like I said, if we have the support, we're going to offer the service, And going back offering service for different platforms, because we have the support for these platforms. That's why we are able to offer it, basically. And when I say support, it's everything, not just tuning, everything, from anything building from, mild to a wild setup, it's we have the support for it. We can do it. And I love doing it, starting from scratch and all the way to finalize the tuning side of it. It's just one stop, basically. I'm not going to, build it and send it over somewhere to get it tuned. I don't know what that place is doing. I just rather have it all under one shop,
right?
One hand, basically to take care of the whole build, basically. We get a lot of cars in that were built somewhere else, tuned somewhere else, and the owner is like, oh, it's having this issue. And we were like, okay, we did not build the car, so we don't know what's going on here. We have to jump in and diagnose. Diagnosing takes a lot of time. It adds up quick. If it's something that it's not worth even, fixing, I would rather, rebuild the whole thing and tune it
right
from the get-go. It's just not worth it. From both ways. From us and for the customer as well. It's just not worth it for the customer.
Yeah, because you want to know what you're working on.
I want to know what I'm working on. And then I will guarantee my work at that point. If it's something I built, if it's something I did the tuning on, I can definitely support that and and warranty the work at to some point at least.
Yeah, it's hard to, because like then where something failed or why something happened. But if
Correct.
it's something that you didn't touch, then it's like, well,
it's hard.
It's this who's who game.
Yeah, it's hard. We'll be calling this guy. Oh, this shop built it. They used this engine builder. This engine builder used these parts from these companies. We circle, track back.
Yep, a
lot
whole
of stuff,
list.
Okay, well, that's not how we want to do it. That's not the way to do it. That's why it's having this issue. It needs to be fixed. It's gonna cost this much. The customer is gonna complain. Why is it costing this much? I just spent a lot of money building it. It's just not an ideal situation overall. That's why I'd rather build cars in-house from scratch, basically.
Yeah.
Start from scratch. We know what's going on. We know what's done to it, like everything. Sometimes we get the Gen 5 Corvettes, the LT4 engines, for example. People just buy them off the dealership or something, and they got modified at some point in their life, and they don't have any specs on them. The dealership don't have any specs on them when they sell the car. So these customers just buy the cars and just flow with it until an issue happens or something, and they bring it over, and they're like, well, we don't have any info about this car.
Yeah.
Well, tuning, I need some info to get it tuned, at least. If to get it tuned properly, I need the cam spec, for example. If I don't know the cam spec in that car, I can't really lean on it and and actually make power because I don't know the cam spec. It's as simple as that. A lot of people say that's not really, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I can 100% say that it does matter to know specifics, to get the tuning side of it correctly. A lot of people will tune cars not even knowing what injectors are in the car, and that's completely wrong. I mean, does it work? Maybe, but is it right? No. You have to have data for the fuel injectors. You have to know the cam spec. You have to know what kind of supercharger we're looking at over here. We have to know what kind of fuel is this car using. All those stuff are essential for tuning. Like I said, tuning is also another one of those things that's really there's no end to it. Really, it's a big thing, and it's different from platform to another. It's very different.
Yeah.
Tuning European cars is different than tuning domestic cars, import cars. It's tuning stock ECU cars is different than tuning standalone cars.
Yeah.
And that's why I go back the way we do it. We have specific people, specific tuners for each platform.
Yep. Yeah, we had a big tuning special with Kyle Larkin from
Yes,
MAP.
yes.
That was a really fun one because
Yes. I've seen the highlight of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that dude knows his shit, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's sharp.
Kyle,
He's,
Kyle is good stuff. Yeah.
yeah, but we had him on, and I learned so much too.
Yeah,
Like
from
from standalone ECU to to stock ECU and all that stuff. Like again, every single episode, I get like just a little bit more information. I get a little bit smarter, so I can have a smarter
Just
conversation.
learn along the way. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like all the Chevy guys use Holly and all that stuff. So it's like
It depends. Yeah, it all depends on the build, obviously.
But it's so cool to see, like Chaz's Porsche, for example. Like you guys, use somebody. He's a tuner from what, the Middle East, I think.
It's from Turkey, actually.
Turkey, yeah.
ES Motors is the company, and it's in Turkey. So they're known for the fastest Porsches in the world. Basically.
Yeah, they're the best.
They had their record sets. They had the, they proved the point in the Porsche community. I mean, that's all they did, really. And Hussein, the owner, is a really good friend with Emre, the owner of ES Motors, basically. Really good friend with him, actually, because he had tuned a lot of his cars in the past. And so that's why we kind of have the relationship with ES Motors. And, that's one thing. That's another thing, having a good relationship with these guys is actually huge, Having them in your corner is always a plus. Like Chaz's car, for example, like you said, Chaz knew ES Motors beforehand, obviously, so he really wanted that car to be tuned by ES Motors. Like no one else, He just had that in his mind. He wants this car to be tuned by ES Motors.
Right.
And we made it happen for him, obviously. And that goes back to the relationship, having the relationship and making it happen, is a big deal, actually, because most of these big companies, they won't really tune random cars out there. It's like no one, like no random, especially the big companies, I want to say, like no random people will, pick up the phone and call this company and be like, hey, I have this car, I want you to tune it. Most of these big companies rather have their turbo system, on this car that they're gonna be tuning their engine. They want to
tune their own work.
engine program, basically. They just feel more comfortable tuning something that they have built.
Correct.
For example, in Chaz's case over here, I want to say if Chaz just reached out to them, they'd probably not do it. Just because to the fact they don't have much info about the car. Chaz himself did not have enough info about the car. Buying the car,
Yeah.
That will set them kind of, they'll be like, okay, this car has a lot of question marks, and we're not there personally to see it. We're probably not going to be able to tune it, basically. But circling back to the relationship, for us to look at the car and then have our communication with ES Motors, basically, and just get it all figured out, we all made it happen, basically. But like I said, I mean, some shops will do it, some shops will not do it. Like the bigger name shops will not do it, really. Like I said, it just goes back to the fact that, if you're not using their engine program, if you're not using their turbo kit system, for example, their parts, basically. It just doesn't make sense for them to tune a car that they have not built.
It's a risk they don't need to take.
Or got involved in building the car itself. So that's kind of how it works, basically. And like I said, we have specific tuners for every specific platform. The Mopar, we have one guy that's specialized in the Mopar. The Hemi engines, basically. He's specialized in them. We have one guy that specializes in the GM engines. Another guy that specializes in Ford Mustang engines. Coyote engines, basically. We do have specific tuners for each platform. I've had some people think that all these cars are tuned by one person. That's not right. No. Each one has a specific knowledgeable tuner about the platform, about the engine management that's being used. Going back to the Copo that you guys saw the other day,
I was just thinking about that.
That one has a standalone in it, right? I gotta find the standalone. I gotta find a specific guy that know the system very well to tune it, right? And luckily, like I said, we have the connection and the support from a lot of people, and luckily we have a specific Motec guy basically, and that's who's working on it right now actually. So
Yeah, and that was an older Motec system in
that
that
was
too,
an
right?
M800, so an older gold box Motec. Yes. Yeah.
So in that instance then, so you're working with somebody who specializes in that. So then what are you doing on your end while you're talking to the tuner?
So basically what I'm doing is I am observing. So listening to the engine, making sure the engine is running correctly beforehand, actually. Basically making sure that engine is running healthy, correctly, and ready to be tuned. That's before even, having the tuner, jump in and doing his thing, obviously. The simple stuff before any dyno session, spark plugs, wires, make sure the car is not, misfiring, make sure we have fuel, make sure what kind of fuel the car uses. And obviously I just observe, observe everything, listen to the engine, I get, that's, I get a lot of feedback to the tuner. For example, after making a pole or something, or just the car just idling, for example, I'll be like, okay, this is what I see. This is how the engine is sounding, basically, I look at the data log with the tuner as well. And, and that's what I learn along the way, obviously, and learning this stuff will make the process easier in the future as well.
Correct.
Working with those tuners, each tuner has his own style tuning, his own style, of communication. Some of them like to talk on the phone, some of them just like text messaging. So
Okay.
it just depends on the person, really.
So with the Copo then, so when you said you were getting all set up, does that include like you getting like the base like idle set up too and all that?
So I have to make sure that the engine is mechanically sound,
Okay.
And healthy, basically. I just have to check every spark plug in every car that goes in the dyno. That's essential. A lot of people think about spark plugs as a simple thing, and it's actually the most important thing. In boosted applications, spark plug gap is a huge thing. I'm sure you guys talked about this with a lot of people on the podcast over here, maybe, especially tuner guys. So spark plug gap is huge in boosted application, basically. If it's not set up correctly, the car will have issues. It will have misfire on a higher, boost RPM. I just have to make sure that all of that stuff is done correctly. We've had cars come in for tuning, supposedly ready. They had wrong spark plugs in them. Wrong heat range of spark plugs. Wrong gap of spark plug. So we have to check all that stuff to avoid any possible issues during the tuning session, basically. And and after we do that stuff, I do observe again and just give the tuner feedback. I'd be like, hey, the car is not idling so well. It feels like a little finicky. A little hesitation to it. The throttle response is not that great. I just give the tuner feedback, and he will work on that basically based on my feedback. And then obviously it's all observation. It's all observation and feedback. If you have good feedback to the tuner, you'll have a successful tuning session, basically. Working with overseas tuners as well, language is different, obviously. So I kind of jump in and do a lot of stuff because we have a lot of overseas tuners. It's just an easier communication in a different language sometimes, honestly. Obviously English is not my first language, but some terms it just does not come into mind. We just switch languages quick, and we do it quick.
Yeah,
it just works. Sometimes at the shop, me and Mo or Hussein will be talking all in English, and all of a sudden we'll switch to Arabic, and Bryce is just sitting there in the middle. He's like, "What are you guys saying?" That kind of deal. It's sometimes it's just easier to switch back to native language, basically.
So what is the native language then?
Arabic.
Okay, so
Yes.
then okay, just a little sidetrack then. So I always wonder. So then, do multiple countries speak the same language then?
Correct.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense then.
Yes.
So then, what language do they speak? So I guess do you speak English with like someone like from ES Motors, for example?
That's all English.
Okay, yeah, because they
Yes.
speak Turkish over there.
They
right?
speak Turkish.
Yeah.
So English is basically the main communication
Yeah.
language.
So who's an example of someone you guys would speak Arabic with? Like what platform?
Well, for example, this Motec car right now, that's all Arabic. I mean, I do speak English with them.
Yeah.
You know, some terms are essential in English, and some terms are just just
Yeah.
in Arabic, really. But GM, Ford, standalone ECUs, GTRs, that's all from the Middle East side, so it's all Arabic, basically.
Okay.
Yeah,
They just have a lot of experts over there.
they
Some of those
have a
shops.
lot of experts over there.
Okay.
And like I said, we have the relationship and the support from these guys. So they support us, we support them, basically. Not that there's no good tuners here in the States. No,
It's just relationship.
It's just relationship, and willing to work with somebody, on a smaller, level, basically,
Yeah, because you guys are a small shop too. Yeah.
very small, obviously, I mean, a very small shop, but yeah, I mean, feedback is really the main thing to a successful tuning session, really. Remote tuning, I do have some local tuner guys, tuning people that rents out the dyno basically and just come tune their own stuff. We do have a lot of those people, actually. That's good to see too. It's just you'll know that there are a lot of people out there doing this thing. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, overall, like I said, I just gotta make sure that car is sounding healthy before we go. Basically wide open throttle, tuning stuff. Also, watch the air fuel ratio numbers, that's essential. Make sure the car is not dropping fuel pressure, make sure the car is set up with the proper base fuel pressure to begin with. Make sure what kind of injectors that car has. I've had cars come in and the customer will like, oh, it has a 1,000cc injectors in it, and then I go look and it's like 1,300 cc injectors. So that is completely different tuning wise. That will mess up with lots of stuff because that will change the whole scaling of the fueling in that engine.
Correct.
So it's very, very important to know these stuff before starting the tuning session, basically. Also, just basically listening to it. When I'm doing wide open throttle pulls on the dyno, if something is wrong, I know when to let off. I'm looking at the numbers, I'm looking at the data log. I'm actually feeling the car. If something is wrong, I have to let off because the tuner is just sitting over there. He's not, he doesn't know really what's going on in that couple of seconds of making a dyno pull. So yeah, it's all important stuff. I've had cars that I could not really do one pull on the dyno because they had issues that I'm like, I will have to stop at this point. There's really no point of continuing because this is not right. This is not.
What kind of issues would you see?
Fueling is mostly is the cars maxing out fuel systems. Basically.
It's like wrong size injectors and stuff.
Wrong size injectors, cars maxing out fuel systems. They think they're fine on the street. They come to the dyno, they're not fine. Another thing is a lot of people think the dyno is just a number, thing. It's actually an essential tuning tool to begin with, rather than making making horsepower numbers. Numbers are numbers. Numbers are just numbers. Honestly, I mean, sure, it's nice seeing big numbers, but I mean, essentially, it's a tuning tool. Basically, end of the day, it's a very expensive tuning tool.
It was so cool. So my first time ever seeing a dyno actually was your shop. Actually,
Okay.
So I came there for Carrie's birthday when they were tuning the red Supra.
Oh yeah, that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
So that was my first time seeing a dyno
Yeah.
in person. Seeing the graphs and all that stuff.
Yep.
So that was super cool for me. So then when you're talking about it's more than the number, are you talking about like how it looks on a graph and all that stuff too?
The dyno graph tells you a lot, actually.
Yep.
A lot of people will look at it. It's just a power band, it's just a couple lines and numbers, It's actually, it actually tells you a lot, If you see hesitation in the power band, the lines on the graph, there's an issue, Hesitation typically refers back to a misfire, Some misfire, you don't even feel it, but the dyno will show it, It's just one of those things that it's very, very little that you cannot feel it, but the dyno will show it, the data log will show it, if we have a car that clutch is slipping, you know, for example, the dyno graph will tell you that, hey, this clutch is slipping. Just, you know, you'll see a dip in the graph and then power continues back up. So you know that dip is a clutch slip. You know, if you see something, you know, abnormal on the dyno graph, you know there's something wrong and you have to diagnose and just figure out what's causing that, basically. Because you always want to see a dyno graph where it's clean, nice curve, you know, no hesitation. That's what you want to see, really. You see a lot of people will be like, oh, the car feels completely fine on the street, you know. We put on the dyno and it's horrible dyno graph looking, you know, and it's misfiring, it's doing weird stuff, it's limiting the throttle, it's, you know, freaking out, going to limp mode, you know, doing all weird stuff, especially the newer cars. You know, a lot of stuff like that. I've seen those like every day, really. Nice clean graph is what you want to see on the dyno graph, really.
I remember I also came there one time when Chaz had his M4. Was it M4 or M5? I can't remember. When
That was M5.
M5, that's right. And he put a JB4 on it.
Yes.
Yeah, and then didn't it look a little bit weird on the graph
So
too?
speaking of JB4, the worst dyno graphs and the worst performance I've seen out of cars is when they have JB4 on them.
Or like a piggyback tune in general.
Piggyback. I mean, not necessarily all piggybacks are bad, but honestly, from what I've seen, JB4 is the worst. JB4 is horrible. And, you know, I'm not gonna lie. You know, I've had a BMW once on the dyno, and I made a pole, and it did not feel right. It was all over the place. I'm like, it was on JB4, right? And this JB4 is just not right. It's just acting up. I took that JB4 like right on the dyno. I took it off the car. Completely bypassed it, took it off the car. The car was so much happier without JB4. I mean, obviously, you know how the JB4 works. You know, it basically tricks the system. You know, it's not tuning; it's tricking the system. You know, it's not good. I don't know why people use JB4.
So explain what it is, I guess, kind of too, because like not everybody understands like how these systems work. So kind of explain what JB4 is.
It basically tricks the ECU that it changes the fueling to some point. It does not have full control of anything, really. You know, it just, you know, integrates to the MAP sensor, basically, and the MAP sensor, whatever, I don't even know how exactly it integrates to the system. All I know is just a horrible system because of the cars that I've seen come through. You know, it's just I've seen Supras, actually, the MK5 Supras with JB4, you know. The 2022 is, you know, ECUs are locked, the people are not able to tune them, you know, take the JB4 route of it, you know. And I've had one, I think, a year ago, and it was on JB4. So, you know, just like any other car I do, make sure the car is running right, make sure nothing, you know, make sure the car is ready for the dyno, basically, right? And typically before I go wide open, I just, you know, go through the gears, you know, just get a feeling of the car, really. This particular Supra, I could not even go wide open throttle because it was on JB4 and everything, you know, data log in front of me, the dyno graph looking at it, it's just not right. It's just scary, actually. It is scary, you know. So
what did the graph look like?
Oh, I actually made a post about this one, and because essentially the same car came back to us this year, and we did ECU unlock, and we did custom boot mode tuning on it, and I made a comparison basically in between the two, and look, day and night different. You know, the car felt completely different because you know nothing beats custom tuning. You know, even off the shelf tune is what they call them, off the shelf tuning. You know, flash tunes. You know, they're okay. They get you to some point, but obviously there's nothing better than custom tuning because, you know, you got to give the engine what it needs, really. You know, if you bring me two identical cars, they will be tuned differently just to the fact that they're different. You know, each engine needs something different.
Yeah, the small variations
small
between
variation. It's, you know, the tolerances, you know, the small variations, you know, a lot of stuff goes into it, really. That's why off-the-shelf tuning is what they call it, off-the-shelf.
Yeah, I have an off-the-shelf in my GTI, for example. I have United Motorsport tune on mine, right? So it's like one of the more want a better one. It's not like an APR tune, but like,
yeah.
but it's off the shelf still.
Yeah.
You know, you have this particular build and then throw the tune on and it's
Yeah.
good to go. But if I were to do a custom tune, I could take it up another notch. It'd be a lot smoother or whatever.
Correct. Yes. It works for simple stuff
Yeah.
because they've done lots of R&D on these tuning file that they send out to people.
Correct.
And I've seen it. You know, we've done a lot of unitronic tuning actually. Like the flash unitronic tuning. You know, stages. You know, stage 1, stage 1 plus, stage 2. You know, all that stuff. They're simple. You know, they're very simple. And I get that because you know they've done lots of R&D on these tune files, and they got them where they're really, you know, dialed in almost 90%. You know,
like universal kind of.
universal kind of deal. You know, I've seen really good result on GTIs actually with unitronic tuning. Actually, I've had a lot of those come through actually.
They're hot right now. So I'm in a big group chat with about 70 MQB owners locally.
Yeah.
So it's like almost everybody's on Unitronic.
Okay. Yeah. No, we are an official authorized unitronic dealer as well. So
Okay.
their tuning is really conservative, I want to say, versus APR, for example.
Yeah, throw all the boost at it.
Yes, I've seen APR. They're really aggressive, tuning wise. Not necessarily a bad thing, but you know, if you're getting an aggressive tune, not a custom aggressive tune, that could, you know, essentially lead to some issues. Basically, you know, that's why refer back to custom tuning is always the way to go. Always, you know,
Because it's for your particular
it's
car.
for your particular car, even for a simple setup. You know, even simple setups. But like I said, you know, the OTS maps is what they call them on Boot Mod 3 for the, you know, Supras, for example. I've tested several of those. They're actually really, really dialed in and close to where they should be. But they definitely leave some on the table, just due to the fact that it's a shelf tune is what they call it. You know? They're not gonna throw everything at it. So, is it safe? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I haven't really, you know, gone far enough to know if it's safe or not. I mean, I granted a lot of people do them, you know, and use them, and they're fine, you know. But like I said, I always refer back to custom tuning. Whether it's stock ECU or standalone, custom tuning, you know, is the way to go, really. Yeah.
So let's say you had somebody come in with a Supra, then they're gonna do a custom tune. So what would you tune it on? I guess.
We have several options actually. It could be on EcuTech,
Yeah.
or it could be on BM3, which is Boot Mod 3. It could be on 2 different softwares. It just depends on the customer. So I've had some customers come in where they already purchased, you know, access port for MHD, you know, instead of, you know, EcuTech or Boot Mod 3. So we just have to stick with whatever the customer is, and if we offer that, you know.
Correct.
I prefer using Boot Mod 3 and EcuTech over anything else.
That's kind of like the big names I hear.
The big names, yeah. And they're very simple to the fact that they're very simple. Working with tuners actually is very, very simple for Boot Mod 3, especially remote tuning. Boot Mod 3 made it a lot easier than anything else. You know, it's all cloud-based tuning files basically.
Okay.
So there's no email involved, nothing really. You know, it's very simple. You know, I log into the software. It's all cloud-based. The tuner just uploads their file, the custom tune file, and it will show up on my end, and then I flash it to the car basically.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, data log automatically shows up to the tuner via cloud again. So it's very simple communication for remote tuning. So that's a really good platform, and they played. They did it right for the remote tuning guys actually. Boot Mod 3. EcuTech, on the other hand, is really, really good software as well. We use EcuTech on the GTRs too. So all GTRs are tuned on EcuTech. If they're a stock ECU, obviously. Standalone, that's a different story. So Supras, though, all of the Supras we've done, they were all on Boot Mod 3 so far. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet, man. There's so much to learn, dude.
So much to learn. And trust me, I learn every day.
Yeah.
Every day. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things. Like that's why we had like Kyle come back with 10 episodes later. I'm like, dude, there's so much to learn about tuning. Or like Michael Peterson, you know, he used to be a Ford engineer.
Yeah.
It's like we had to get you back on. It's like, just always something to talk about. I mean, it's never ending with cars. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, there's thousands of parts in every single one. And
it's never ending. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's never ending. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let me see what we're at here. Dude, we're over 2 hours here.
Really?
Yeah. Time flies.
It did not feel like that. No.
Well, that's the thing. So, with this new setup, I can just throw the computer to the side. So even I'm not aware of the time until I look down.
Yeah.
So that helps a lot.
Yeah.
But so one question that we always used to ask at the end of every episode, and I want to keep this tradition going, just to kind of have an idea of what your car tastes are, who you are as a person, what you choose. Sean was a lot better at explaining this than I am, but I got to take on this role. So basically the question goes like this. We actually came up with this at TX2K. We did like a 5-person podcast. It was fucking chaos. But one of the guys came up with this question, and the question goes like this. You have to choose 3 cars, unlimited budget. You have to choose a daily, a track car, and a show car.
Okay.
The only thing that's limiting you is your imagination. So what would those 3 cars be? Start with that, whichever.
I mean, kind of already talked about race car over here, so at the beginning of this podcast, but don't really have a specific show car, I want to say. As I mean, a race car can always be a show car, honestly.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not I don't know if I said this before, but I'm not a big car show person.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done car shows before. I like them. I don't mind them, but I'm just not a big car show person.
You're more of a PRI guy over SEMA, for example.
Absolutely, PRI over SEMA all day long, big time. And I've gone to SEMA and I've gone to PRI, obviously, both of them. I stopped going to SEMA.
I'm going for my first time next week, so
it's fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun. It's different though. If you're going for a specific thing, it's different. PRI is just more smaller, more tight community.
Race car
stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I like, obviously. So, but like I said, SEMA is nice. SEMA is nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, show car, I don't really.
Would you go newer, older?
Don't really have one in mind, but race car, obviously we've talked about race car. It's gonna be one of a full blown race car, whatever it is. A Corvette, a Mustang. It's gonna be a race car.
So it's most likely. So
yeah,
because I'm gonna help you figure this one out. So unlimited budget. So it's probably a C6.
Probably a C6. Yeah.
C6 built to the gills, like 1,500 horse. Yeah. Okay, that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's. Well, one of my all-time favorite cars is a C6ZR1. So that is one of my all-time favorites, actually. I mean, that could be a show car, honestly.
Okay.
That could be a show car.
What color?
I want to say Inferno, the Inferno orange color. Yeah. I mean, I would take red too. I mean, I love a lot of colors, just different colors. Honestly.
They have a lot of great colors on the C6ZR1.
Yeah.
So so show car C6ZR1.
Let's say C6ZR1 for a show car.
I gotta ask.
I don't know why I forgot about that, but
what kind of wheels would you put on? Anything flashy, stock, or what you thinking?
I mean, stock wheels look just perfectly fine.
They look amazing on that car.
Yeah. If anything, it's gonna be one of them. Forge line, for example. Some one of those lines. Forge line. I like Forge line wheels. Yeah.
Sweet. So we got show car.
We got show car.
Okay.
C6ZR1 show car. Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then back to the race car.
Again, that's gonna. Well, we're talking unlimited budget here, so it's gonna be a little bit different than real life.
Yeah.
Basically.
Go for it. Full send.
I mean, it could be a pro mod, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah,
you can go that route.
Yeah, pro modified is actually one of the best classes in drag racing, in my opinion, actually. So I want to say pro modified car.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would that car look like?
So I mean, essentially that's. Well, the thing is about pro mods, there are full tube chassis cars. All right. You basically can put any body style on top of that tube chassis car. I want to go with something unique. I want to say, what is it though? It may sound crazy, but Ford GT is also one of my all-time favorite cars. I've never seen a Ford GT, a full-on blown race car Ford GT.
Okay.
I
like
don't know.
05, 06, right?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know how it's gonna look in a pro mod trim, but I mean, if it's unlimited budget, let's throw that on.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah.
I don't think it will look the best, but I mean, hey, it's Ford GT.
We'll find a shop that'll do it.
Yeah.
All right. So then, last one, daily.
Daily. Actually, the daily is a hard one.
It's hard for everybody.
Yeah,
that's probably the hardest
I
one
just
for
don't-
everyone.
I mean, it's a limited budget. I'm not gonna lie, I love the GT2 RSs.
Okay,
Yeah,
that'd be a fun one to daily around. Full blown race car.
just essentially it goes back to race car. Even
Yeah.
if it's a daily, it will probably have some sense of a race car into it.
Okay.
So the GT2 RS is one of the most beautiful cars, honestly.
Dude, it's phenomenal.
Nobody can argue that. Seriously.
Yeah, I love these new GT3 RSs. I was just watching Mr. JWW or whatever. He got a silver one. So, all right, just because Porsche is crazy with their colors, for my own curiosity, what color would your GT2 RS be?
I love red.
Guards red.
I love red. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm in that camp.
Yes.
Guards red GT2 RS.
I love red. Yes. Yeah. When it comes to colors, I feel like my least favorite would be silver, honestly.
Really? Okay.
And on any car.
Okay.
Even though my GTR was silver, I don't know why.
It looked really good in silver, though.
It was okay. It was actually the color code of an R34 GTR instead of R33, so it was a little bit darker than the original R33 color. So, which is nice actually. The darker, the better. But yeah, I love red, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet, dude.
Yeah.
Well, where can people find you?
Social media, Facebook is just my full name, Samer Al Soywaymill, and then Instagram is Samer_1_Z.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then also Mohs Performance or
Mohs Performance.
Or is it MP Performance?
MP Motorsport, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, we're in the process of changing the name a little bit and rebranding the whole company, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. We'll have to get somebody back on in the future and talk about that as well.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Super awesome. As for everybody else, you can find me at Monoxide Everything. I will be talking about some of the affiliate stuff that I'm doing here in the near future, but the two big ones are Jocko right here. So, how'd you like the energy drink?
That was okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not a big energy guy, but it was okay.
Yeah.
It's iced tea and lemonade, so that's fine. I love that.
That's one of my favorite flavors. These three are my favorite here. So I got the sour apple, the new blue raspberry, and then the tea lemonade or whatever. But yeah, everybody can get 10% off on that if you use code Monoxide. And then also at some point I'm gonna get the 3D car care stuff in the back here. That's another one.
It's
10%.
nice having something in the background, actually.
Yeah, it's a little bland right now, but again, every episode gets better.
Yeah.
The next thing I'm gonna fix is this freaking lighting because it's a little. It's not perfect. It's good, but it's not great.
It's okay. Yeah.
It gets the job done.
It gets the job done.
We're not in the dark.
Yeah. Just trust the process and just go with it.
Yeah. But yeah, the 3D car care stuff. So 10% code Monoxide or Monoxide 10. I don't know. It's on my Instagram. I should probably check that. But yeah, nonetheless, thank you everybody for tuning in and listening. I think you're now your second or third longest episode.
Awesome.
So yeah, that was impressive. So, and thank you for being the first one with me by myself.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, sweet. See y'all next time.